How's it hanging, YouTube? Peter here, your Ginger Jody Geek. Welcome back to the channel for another... Look at that head action. That sounds wrong. That looks great, Von Hoot. Nice to see you all in the chat. We have got a hell of a panel for you tonight and an exciting show, so I'm really looking forward to getting stuck into this. Before we move on, I'm just going to quickly run around and say who we've got. So first off, we've got James T. Keegan. How are you, James?
Heyo, I'm very well, man.
Heyo.
We're back Saturday night. Let's do this.
Ready for some Saturday Night Live action. We've got some interesting topics tonight, so looking forward to getting into that with you. We've also got Luke from Hydra Collectibles. Luke, how are you?
I'm very good. I really missed this last week.
Yeah, we had a week off, didn't we? So yeah. I keep saying I'm going to do it fortnightly, but then we'll do a one, and I think, oh, I miss it. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. But it's always nice to see. And Luke, just before we move on, I'll probably vomit a little bit in my mouth, but fantastic news that you've now joined the YouTube partnership program. So congratulations for that, sir.
Thank you very much.
Unlike myself, who still hasn't achieved it.
You'll get there, mate. You'll get there.
But massive congratulations. And of course, you had a very nice interview earlier in the week. Who was that with?
Yeah, that was with my very good friend. I'm just going to say it. It's been 6 times now, so it's true. My very good friend, Kevin Eastman.
Yeah, tremendous. Go check that out, that video out. It is very, very cool. So yeah, it's good. Now we've got Mr. YouTube himself, GP Venom. How are you, GP?
Hey, how's it going? I just want to say to all the American viewers out there, please turn on your subtitles. It was brought up in Rob's chat. Yeah, I'm very good. Thanks for having us back on the show.
Always a pleasure.
Looking forward to it.
Good stuff. Nice to see you. We've got Dr. Von Hoot. How are you?
Evening, everybody. I'm good. To be fair, I can't understand most of Peaky Blinders, so no, I'm great, mate. I'm raring to go because it has been a little while since we've done this, so I'm getting ready. I'm hyped.
Oh, excited. Yeah, excited. Good stuff. Looking forward to it. And we've got Highland G. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Again, as the guys have said, I'm looking forward to this. It feels like it's been too long.
Yeah, we've got some interesting topics as well, mate. I know you've sent in a couple of topics, so it's going to be fun to get into that. Now, we've got a newcomer to the screen. I'm very, very pleased to say we've got Chris, the comic vet. How are you, Chris?
Great to be here, Peter. Thank you for having me today.
That's tremendous. If you can maintain that throughout the show, that would be
There's no chance. I'm sure my family would love if I was able to keep up. There's just no chance. But thanks for having me on. It's a pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. Been wanting you on for a while, mate. So now, before we start, a couple of my UK colleagues who are watching tonight might not be able to pick the accent between yourself and Rob. So do you just want to clarify what part of the world are you from?
Well, I'm from the part that over here that represents the Commonwealth as well. I am just outside Toronto here in Canada.
Canada. Very good. Very cool. Lovely to have you, mate. And congratulations on your win on Rob's show. Your show as well. Just a little while ago. Yeah, some nice books.
Thank you.
And then next, we've got the man himself, Rob Fat Stacks. How are you, Rob?
Just ducky, sir.
Superb.
Just ducky. Wow.
Superb. Yeah, you're looking very well, Rob. And it was a pleasure to spend some time with you last week and learn all about your quietly unhealthy obsession with Nightmare Before Christmas.
I don't know that it's an obsession or unhealthy, but
Rob, you've got cereal boxes, man. Of course it's an obsession.
It's only unhealthy if you eat that cereal.
Very true, mate.
He's got you there, to be fair.
Yeah, very true. Yeah. Always nice to see you, Rob. Right, guys, just going to jump to the chat, see who we've got. We've got 20 odd people watching. Fantastic. Thank you. We have got StreamYard, good old StreamYard. Thank you for joining. We've got Phil's Nerdyverse. Nice to see you, Phil. Phil was here at 8:30. I think he was just excited. We've got Mrs. Von Hoot. Always nice to see you. And we've got Fuzzy of the Dunlop. Fuzzy, always an absolute pleasure, my friend. Always nice for you to jump on. Who else we've got? Oh, we've got Terry. We've got Deadman. Thank you for joining, Terry. Nice to see you, bud. And we have got Brian. Nice to see you, Brian. Thank you so much for jumping on. And we've got Phil. Loads of chat. Oh, we've got Captain Comics. Nice to see you, Cap. Ahoy. Hope you are well. I think that's it. Oh, we've got Sean. Thank you very much for joining, Sean. Always a pleasure to see you. And we've got my pal Chris. Nice to see you, Chris. I had the pleasure of meeting Chris at a convention recently, and he's an absolute star. So really nice of you to all join. And we've got Noble Young. Superb. Thank you. I'm loving the little waves, everybody. It's great. It's great. So lots of people in the chat tonight. Thank you so much. Please do make sure you hit that like and subscribe, and make sure you check out everybody on screen's channels because they're all doing superb content. Before we start, just to mention, this is all of my different contacts. If anybody wants to get in touch or watch any of my other stuff, please do check that out. We're going to do things slightly different tonight. For those of you that have been watching the show previously, we've got a big panel and we've got lots to get through. So not everybody will be speaking about every single topic, but people will jump in when they've got something they want to add. So we'll not be going around every single person. And chaps, thank you very much. If you mute yourselves and then jump in whenever you want to jump in, that will be superb. Okay, right. This is what we're here to talk about tonight. We'll do our usual stuff. And then I want to focus a little bit on Ahsoka at the end. We're going to start off with some geeky news. And I want to kick off with this. Today is Batman Day, which is an interesting thing that we've now got kind of days that are attributed to superheroes and Star Trek and Star Wars and all the rest of it. But it is a day that's celebrating one of, I think, the biggest comic book characters of all time. So I am going to come to you each individually on this one, even though I've just said I wasn't going to, and ask your thoughts on the Batman. Favorite hero in his Batman repertoire and your favorite villain. We'll start because it's Chris's first show. Chris, we'll start with you. What are you a fan of the Bat?
Of course, I'm a fan of the Bat. I'm lean towards more Spider-Man, a little bit more relatable. I'm not a 1%er. I don't have billions of dollars and a bunch of toys, and my car can only go so fast. But yeah, my favorite rogue would definitely be the Joker, obviously, just because the first story I fell in love with when it comes to Batman was The Killing Joke, and one just still resonates with me. It just seems to be one of those tales that is timeless now, and DC is finally giving it the proper love by bringing it into canon. But I think Batman Day is great. I can only think of two other characters that get their own day, Spider-Man Day and Superman Day. But for whatever reason, the LCSs and the publishers they've caught on with this one. So I'm glad to see that DC is helping out small business by hopefully trying to draw in some crowds for Batman Day.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Absolutely. I think Batman, I think me and James have talked about this previously, that there are only a handful of characters that you could probably go to anyone, like my parents, do you know what I mean? Mm. If I was to go to them and say, I'm a big fan of, I don't know, Teen Titans, they'd look at us like I'm mad and I haven't got a clue. But Batman's instantly recognizable. It's like Spider-Man. Everybody knows Batman. So yeah, great picks. And Joker, superb villain. How about yourself, Rob?
Well, I agree. Batman is like one of those ones that I think that especially every male child, especially, is just born knowing the origin story. Basically, it's like you just somehow know it's part of pervasive. But yes, Batman is really almost the only DC that I read, or at least Batman related books. Because I read Nightwing and I read stuff. But Batman is by far the one that's most interesting. Even if at times you really want to shake him and go, "Come on, man, wake up, you son of a gun." But for myself, there's so many good villains on there. I would probably say that the Penguin is one, just simply because I like a little bit more. He's more understandable. He's about just crime, money, amassing power that way, as opposed to just. I can't, Joker's great, does some crazy stuff, but I can't necessarily relate to just chaos for chaos sake necessarily. Whereas Penguin, I think everyone can understand the desire for more money and wealth and general mafia type things, essentially root cause of most of it. Even if sometimes they get a little wacky with the concept of him having like sentient freaking 8-foot penguins with rockets on them or something.
I mean, I'm a massive fan, as you know, of the 89 Batman, but I have to say Batman Returns and DeVito's portrayal of the Penguin, revolutionary for me in terms of DeVito as an actor as well, because I always saw him as a comedy actor. But that performance of the Penguin is just, phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. And I'd also say, I don't know if you guys have watched the Gotham TV show, but the portrayal of Penguin in that as well is superb.
Yes.
Very, very
especially
cool.
especially the evolution of that character throughout the whole thing. Yes.
Yeah.
Robin Lord Taylor was the actor.
Yeah, and he's amazing in it. Absolutely amazing. GP, how about yourself, bud?
Mike's off. I'm a massive Batman fan. Obviously grew up with it. As for Batman Day, I think it's a great idea to get people into LCSs, especially new readers.
Yeah.
So making a big deal out of a big character to get people into the comic book shops is absolutely brilliant idea. I love the chaos, so Joker's always been my favorite.
Joker
villain.
for you. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah.
I think everybody loves a bit of Joker, don't they? Yeah, very cool. Von Hoot?
No, I hate him. No.
I swear to God, if you say the best villain is the Court of Owls,
No, I do love the Court of Owls, but my favorite villain is actually probably Mr. Zaz. When he shows up in a book, bad things are happening. He's not the smartest villain, and that's sort of why he appeals to me. He's just a lunatic that butchers people, and he's so vicious and horrible. And I love the fact that Batman ends up punching him in the face every time. Yeah. So he's great.
I will say the thing about Victor Zsasz is a brilliant villain, and they've done him dirty in so many stuff like Gotham.
Yes.
And the Birds of Prey movie.
Oh yeah, terrible.
Badly done.
But
he would be he would be a really good villain for the next or one of the next, the Robert Pattinson Batmans, because he's gritty and dirty. I don't want them to go far-fetched with that universe. I want, like Rob was saying, gangster, and he would make a very interesting villain, I think. Cool pick. I like that one, mate. Highland G.
Yeah, so I enjoy Batman books. I think I enjoy the Bat family more than the Bat himself. So I'm more of a Nightwing fan than a Batman fan. But as far as villains, I think, again, kind of similar to the guys, I like the kind of grounded villains a bit more. I think someone like the Riddler, who actually makes Batman do detective work, makes for a more interesting story.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the Riddler as well. And I'm not a massive fan of the last Batman movie, but I do think the portrayal of the Riddler and that was really interesting. Very well done. Great pick, bud. Great pick. James T. of the Keegan.
Well, for me, every day is Batman Day, Peter. No, I mean he's the GOAT, isn't he? I think he's the best comic book hero ever created. I think the Joker is the best fictional character ever made. Just how versatile it is. We've had all these different interpretations of it. They all work in their own ways. He's a character that transcends comic book culture. Like I'll say, my parents like some versions of Batman, and young kids love some versions. So it's not a nerdy thing to like Batman. I remember in school, my teacher came in one day, like 65 or something, came in and said, "I saw The Dark Knight last night. I loved it. It was brilliant." I'm like, it was kind of a weird thing for me. So Joker's my favorite, but for the sake of variety, I've always loved Scarecrow. I love how I think every good Batman villain is like a reflection of an aspect of himself, and like the use of fear against your enemies. That's kind of what Scarecrow taps into. Amazing design as well, I think. So yeah, I've always liked him.
I mean, I'm with you there. I was never that into Scarecrow in terms of the comic books and stuff until the Arkham games, and I just thought his portrayal in the Arkham games is amazing. But properly terrifying as well. But yeah, great pick, James. Great pick. Luke, how about yourself, mate?
Yeah. So, well, for starters, I have never heard of Batman Day before in my life. Didn't even know that was a thing, so I'm just going to come out and say that. As for Superman and Spider-Man Day, I equally don't know them either. I'll give you May the 4th for Star Wars, but no, I don't know anything about these.
There is. Oh God, my brain's just gone blank. I can't remember where it is, but I know there's a Star Trek Day because in the fictional birthplace of of Captain Kirk, they've got a statue of him and they're celebrating everything there. So it looks very cool. But yeah, sorry to interrupt, Luke.
So I'm very new when it comes to reading Batman. In fact, I only started within the last year of actually going back and checking out some of these stories that so many people have recommended to me. But a personal favorite from, I think it was the Tom King series where they really done something decent with him.
Don't say it. Don't say it, Luke. I know what you're gonna say. Don't say it.
Kite Man, hell yeah.
I just picked up the first appearance of Kite Man.
I've got the first appearance as well. As soon as I read this story, this Tom King story, I absolutely fell in love with the character, and I went back and bought his first, second, and third appearance.
All you need to know about Hydra collectibles, ladies and gentlemen.
Kite Man fan. Jesus.
What issue was his first appearance? I don't even know.
It's like 315, I think it is, or something.
Yeah.
That far back?
Yeah.
It's
It's
got
in the
Spike-
dollar bins. It's in the dollar bins. You can pick up a few copies, I'm sure. Yeah.
First appearance of Spider Bite as well in that issue. I think he's on the cover. Nice.
I didn't even know
cover.
Kite Man was a thing until I saw the Harley Quinn animated show.
Well, so this is the thing, right? So I've never seen that show, but a lot of people have said, "Oh, you mentioned
so
Kite
good in
Man. What about this? What about that?" But I haven't actually seen it, so I will check it out.
And then in that show, it's kind of like a cross between Kite Man and Duff Man.
Kinda, yeah. It's taken to that extreme.
Well, the thing is that after I read this particular issue or these few issues, I thought it was such a fun, compelling story. Like I say, fun very loosely because it's quite dark. But it made me want to go back and see who this guy was, and the fact that he's a Golden Age villain that was pretty much just a laughing stock. It was played as a gag. I like that someone came later on and made something of him. You know, there are no bad ideas, just bad writing. And if someone
I do like it when
and
they
make
do that.
something.
I know I was taking the mick a little bit there, but you are right. They turned a ridiculous character into something quite interesting with that series.
I like it when they do that because I know Jeff Jones a while ago, I think it was in Justice Society, turned Clock King into a very cool kind of villain. You know, it's always nice when they revisit some of these characters. I'm yet to see Condiment King be turned into something that's worth reading, but you know, we'll see. Just going to quickly jump to the chat. Thank you very much for that, guys. That was really interesting. Fuzzy is with you, Luke, and to be honest, myself before today. He's never experienced Batman Day in his life. When did it happen? Not a bloody clue, Fuzzy. Not a clue. Star Wars Day. We've got Comic Journey. Thank you very much for joining, my friend. Phil, make Triple J Day happen. Absolutely, but Phil's favorite, I love a bit of Mr. Freeze, and he's a villain that I think's been done dirty because, as much as I love him, Arnie didn't do it. Whether it was the writing
On
or what.
film is not great, but his motivation is what's unique about him. It's not, usually it's nothing about crime for crime's sake. It's trying to save his wife.
In the animated Mr. Freeze movie was very cool. Can't remember what the name of it is, but
Sub-Zero.
That was very cool. Yeah,
I think it's only a matter of time before they do him justice in a film, and then everybody will be going mad for him because it's a great character.
Yeah, I hope so, bud. I hope so. Ventriloquist, again another very cool character. Jesus, he's back with a vengeance. Good old Luke, absolutely, mate. And Chris, as a YouTube affiliate, I respect Luke's choice. Oh dear. Okay, guys, a bit of news, and we'll stick with Batman at first. Interested to see what people think of this. So, Tim Burton has broken his silence. I think that's a bit exciting, isn't it? But on the Flash using his Batman and his version of Superman, and basically said, I'm in quiet revolt. I mean, that's not particularly exciting, but I guess it does make us think about people who've spent a lot of time and effort. If I think of people like Alan Moore in creating these characters and universes, and then they take the pip a little bit when it's used later on by people, and they don't necessarily like what happens with them. Do you think that's an issue, or do you think actually they've once they've created it, they move on? Von Hoot?
I would argue that Tim Burton didn't create these characters at all. So his attachment to them really, I mean, I guess the design of Batman's costume, maybe he could make an argument for that, but otherwise, especially not the Superman thing, because it never came to fruition. And it's like, I mean, I could see why that might be hard for him though, because when you make a film, it is a lot of work. I've made a short film, and that's a lot of work, let alone a huge film. So I can see why it would sting, but should we be too sympathetic? I'm not sure.
Yeah. Chris?
like, let's be honest, he had a couple kicks at the can, and in the end, if it was my style of Batman that I helped put to the big screen, I don't think any director for any one of those, I don't think Richard Donner would be happy, or the Salkians would be happy with any of those types of DC characters that were portrayed before on how they looked in the Flash movie. I think everyone just panned that movie. But the one thing I can say is, like, he should at least be happy for Michael Keaton, because his performance was something that was never touched on any type of negative review. Everyone seemed to say negative stuff about everything else about those movies except for Michael Keaton. And so one thing I wish Tim Burton would have made mention of is that he was happy that Michael Keaton got to revisit the character, and that his portrayal was actually pretty damn good. It was probably the only good thing about that movie, other than Zod returning as well.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. I mean, I'm a huge Michael Keaton fan, and it was absolutely the highlight of that movie, just seeing him back in action. Anybody else want to jump in on that one?
Yeah, just I don't want to go against the good doctor for what he was saying. You know, I totally agree with what Dr. Von Hoop said about how Tim Burton didn't create these characters, but he did build that particular version, like that world, like that Gotham City is Tim Burton.
Stunning.
Like that is. So I do kind of still see it from there. It's just, I know I'm not really counter arguing. I just want to say that there are still elements to that, because if not, it'd still be like Adam West or earlier. Do you know what I mean? Like there was a change that did make Batman that way, and it was thanks to Tim Burton's film.
Absolutely, I agree. Yeah. I agree. Rob,
I was gonna say, you know, I think Dr. Von Hoot hit the key on this, is that he didn't, in this case for Tim Burton, he didn't create the characters or else. Yes, he can say he created a particular vision or whatever else within that world, and that aesthetic might have been borrowed slightly from this. But what was the spirit of that? It was being done to pay homage to that and give props. It wasn't like they were stealing it to make fun of it or make light of it or anything else. If anything, he should be, hey, look, man, these guys took this up and they recognized what I did was that great, that they wanted to build this stuff around this, you know. And sure, he can be disappointed that he wasn't asked to be involved in it, but at the end of the day, dude, just move on. It's not like you created this stuff. It's not like the Fable stuff, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's an interesting one in itself, isn't it? Fuzzy's hit it on the head, I guess, for me, as he always does. Pure diva antics from Burton. Settle down, go brush your hair.
and I mean, you'd wonder what he'd be saying if the movie was like beloved, you know, and everybody loved how these characters were used in it. So yeah, he's just kind of taking a pot shot.
And nobody's saying, hey, Tim, look, your stuff was garbage and it ruined this Flash film. No,
absolutely. It's only a good bit of it. Phil, I'm not even going to address your comment, because that's just bollocks, mate. I mean, I don't know what you're saying there. 89 is the Batman movie. Right. Star Wars nerds. I'll come to James first. This is the news that Lando is now going to be a movie instead of a TV series. This got you excited?
I mean, it's basically been cancelled now at this stage, because for whatever reason, Lucasfilm just can't get a movie out the door. I mean, we had a similar thing, like, you know, who knows the reasons for this. It might be similar to Armor Wars, where the budget just seemed to get bigger and bigger. And didn't Donald Glover's brother only join writing like a few weeks ago? So maybe it's like their idea works better as a movie than a show. So I mean, I'm hesitant, because I would have been more confident the show would happen rather than a movie, because we have not had a Star Wars movie for several years, and you know, so I'm and also, like, you know, a show would work better because the characters attached to the Solo movie, which didn't do very well box office wise. So would, you know, a show not have been the better route for that as well? Like, it's a sequel to Solo then.
I know we've said this before, and I know sometimes I get poo-pooed, but I enjoyed Solo. I thought Solo was a good jaunt.
Yeah. Absolutely. Once you get over it being a new portrayal of Han Solo, I think it's a fantastic, like, adventure movie.
Chris,
I'm thinking greed is fueling this. I think that they're just moving. It's been so long since they've had a Star Wars box office come in well, that the trailer's gonna be full of the Millennium Falcon. They're gonna tug on the heartstrings of people from our generation, have it doing some loop-de-loops and a little bit of love story to it. I get they want to do this, but yeah, I think there's better characters they could have played with to bring it to the big screen. But I think they're just so hurting because they're spending so much money on Disney Plus shows that they're not making their money back off of that. They have to put something in the box office.
Absolutely.
And this is just the best thing they can come up with right now until they bring the whole Disney Plus universe together and whatever film Filoni is putting together for 4 or 5 years down the road.
I think you're absolutely right, mate. I think you're absolutely right. Rob, did you want to come in on that?
I do. This is phenomenal news. And the reason why it's phenomenal news is this. First of all, it gets back to this concept of let's go ahead and create some one-off movies. They don't have to be these trilogies. They don't have to be this connected stuff or anything else that Disney had originally visioned on doing. Second, let's get away from making a 6 to 8 part series that's essentially 8 hours. We're stretching out a 2-hour story into an 8-hour story. Let's just get in, tell the story we're here to tell, and move on, and not have to deal with this week to week people going, oh, well, this is an uneven episode. I didn't like this episode. Or next episode, well, this episode is good. You guys should go back and watch this. No, just put the movie out there. Let's go watch it. Let's have some fun with it, and let's move on.
I think your point there, Rob, really connects with me in terms of also reflecting on the Marvel universe. I'm a bit connected out. I don't want movies that connect to everything and you need to know the backstory. A standalone movie to me is pretty appealing at this stage. And speaking of standalones, it's a perfect segue because Luke, you wanted to talk about this bit of news, which is quite interesting itself. And this is that Marvel's Werewolf by Night, which was a beautiful standalone show, is getting colorized and re-released for Halloween. So Luke, what do you think about this? Take it away, mate.
Yeah, so my question is why? I think there are 3 potential options here. It's either this was always the plan and they thought, oh, we'll do it in black and white and then we'll do it in color. Or it's just a quick cash grab because they're short on funding. But at the end of the day, it really does feel like it's a last minute thing. I feel like maybe they had hoped to get something new out, but because of the strikes and everything else that's going on, I feel like this is just them going, right, let's pluck this off the shelf. Let's do this. It's an easy fix. Get it out for Halloween and people will watch it. This is not, it was made to be black and white. It was made for that reason. I don't see why they are doing this. I won't be watching it. And I really hope that it won't be removing the original and replacing it with this. Because that's just because we can't get it any other way, can we? Unless outside of illegal downloads, you won't get to watch the original of this in any other way because it's not had a physical media release.
I mean, I think for me, I've said many a time that this show was probably one of the best Marvel things I've seen in a long time. I absolutely adored it, and I loved the black and white element of it. So I'm a bit with you, Luke. I have to be honest. It pains us to say I agree with you, Luke. I don't really understand why this is happening. James, you were muted. You want to say something?
Yeah, it's interesting because it's a stylistic decision. So why I'm gonna watch it because I'm just curious about the color palette throughout it. How are they gonna over the rainbow bit at the end? Is it gonna change back to black and white or something instead? Also the violence of it, it got away with a lot because it was in black and white because there's no blood. So bits with severed arms and stuff, how is that are they gonna mute the blood in it or something? But it's interesting, my girlfriend didn't watch it because it was in black and white, so maybe she'll actually give it a go now because she doesn't like black and white things.
I hear what you're saying. Luke, they're playing bingo with you, mate. Who else wants to come in on this one? Anybody want to? Rob? Yeah.
I think that they're doing this only halfway. The full way this should have been done, if you wanted to take this out of retirement from its shelved scenario in black and white, which was great, colorize it and make it 3D. And let's have it be the great, and not like the modern Real D. I want the 70s 3D. Let's make this full-blown kind of retro grindhouse horror 3D colorized.
I actually love that too.
That would be phenomenal.
Yeah.
I'm with you, Rob. I would love that.
I'm a marketing genius. What can I say?
Well, you see, yeah. Dr. Von Hoot.
You can do black and white in 3D though. So I'd much prefer that than what we're going to get. I hate this. Like it's revisionism for no reason whatsoever, and it just like I'm not having a go at your girlfriend there, James, when I say this, but there are a lot of people that won't watch black and white because of stuff like this. Like if you hear something's good, and the fact that it's in black and white shouldn't detract from it. If they release The Lighthouse in color next, I will go, and like I won't. But no, it's just.
I was going to say DVH is coming to America apparently.
Just
but
horrible,
no, I'm
horrible. I get that it will probably get more views this way, and that's why it's happening.
I think my biggest concern is if they remove the original version that they gave us last year, because again, this is something that I could see me revisiting on a yearly basis at Halloween.
Is this not for Hulu though?
No, it's Disney Plus.
I'm not sure.
Are you sure? Because I thought it was like the colorized version is coming to Hulu, and then like in America, it makes no difference to us because we get it through Stars.
Yeah,
but,
I mean, you might be right,
Disney,
but I doubt they'll get rid of the black and white version.
This could have been like a yearly classic for them. Like people would have checked this out every year. It's a short 40-minute thing. People would have come back to this year after year. But if they're gonna make these changes and take away from how it was originally made, they're going to lose their audience.
I doubt they will, though.
See, I think they could have went the other way. They could have went down the whole kind of Sin City kind of touch of color element.
Yes, so I was just about to say, what if we just added
black
touches?
and white and just have the occasional bleed of red going off of something or whatever? That would have added so much more than
with 3D
the whole thing color. Yes, if you want
to. And smell-o-vision. Love it all. Love it all.
Doesn't the show have that because the ruby thing is red?
At the start, yeah.
So it already has.
I think those kind of things are better, like subtle.
Interesting. The thing that worries us most about this, because I think it's a great topic, Luke. So thank you for putting that forward. But I have to be honest, I'd forgotten that it must be about a year since this came out. Is it? It's been a while. This show got me really excited for the special feature format. I thought we'd get more of that. And I remember talking to some of you guys at the time, thinking each Halloween, or we're going to get like is next going to be Man-Thing, or is next going to be Dracula, Tomb of Dracula, some of Blade. And no, we've just got a rehash of what they put out last year. It feels like they've dropped the ball. And Fuzzy made a comment there saying basically it feels like 4:45 on a Friday, and someone said that'll do. And that's kind of what this feels like, just totally out of the blue.
That's fair.
Yeah, it's a strange one. It's a strange one. Chris, it's just not going to feel the same. Oh, sorry, mate. Just reading that one. Other Chris, it's not just going to feel the same at all. I hope they do at least keep the original. Absolutely, Chris. Sorry, what were you saying, mate?
I'm curious if the director is going to eventually make his or her word be voiced in this. I kind of wish that this came out. I thought this was hands down a classic, and just like what some of you have said, like I hope that they would have revisited it. I kind of thought like maybe they should have put both out, but the directors at last year, but the director says, I hope that you watch the black and white. That's what I meant it to be, but the color is there as well. Or like Rob mentioned, like a grindhouse type of 70s flavor to it. And like I feel like they kind of dropped the ball with this one. They could have said, last year, we're releasing the black and white. Next year, we're going to be releasing the color version for those of you that are interested. And no one would have been like, oh, forget it. Like there would have been no uproar about it, because it kind of came out of nowhere, because Marvel was producing not that good quality content at that time. And this one came out and it just kind of blew everyone away. The performances, the fact that it was kind of its own universe set out there. And then the gratuitous violence that came with it too was something that was just not seen. And I thought I wasn't going to say anything about it, but that's the one thing that came to my mind is wait till the director opens his or her mouth, and if it's negative about this, it's just going to add fuel to a massive fire that seems to be roaring right now anyway.
I mean, I think you make a really interesting point. I hadn't even thought about that. I just but you're right. If he's spent so much time, effort, and poured so much love into that original presentation, and now they've slapped a bit of color on it, But
again, that goes back to the previous topic where it's like, well, when does a director step down and say
Yeah.
that enough is enough? It belongs to the
Yeah.
studio.
Absolutely.
We're kind of contradicting ourselves by going back to the
Yeah,
same
yeah.
argument but taking the other
Yeah,
side.
what does Tim Burton think about all this?
Yeah. Yeah, let's get Tim on the phone, see what he thinks. He's too busy combing his hair. Right, guys, we've got some, and I think you'll be excited. We've got some superb comic book news. Now, you'll know previously we've talked about Marvel's revolving door on death. We had obviously a lot of lead up to this. Moon Knight, bless him, is dying. But it's all right because he's come straight back, and he's long live the night. So he's not even actually dead yet, but he's back. So I want to get some views on that. But before we look at that chestage, Rob Liefeld at his absolute best has banged this out on a Whatnot special. I think it's going to one of the local cons as well. Obviously, a bit of a homage to his superb work on the previous Captain America. I love this. I absolutely friggin' love this. And I love this because it's Rob being just Rob, mad, balls to the wall. Who gives a flying shit? I'm just putting this out for shits and giggles, which I think is just tremendous, absolutely tremendous. So, JP, haven't come to you for a little while, mate. What are your thoughts on the Moon Knight issues?
Yeah, I think it's they're killing off Mark Spector. That's what I've heard anyway.
Mark's
Which,
dying and he's come back. Yeah,
I think that's shit. They're doing another Frank.
Yeah, I mean the
Fucking
costume's
Marvel.
interesting. The
costume
costume's
looks
interesting.
good. It's just fucking Marvel, isn't it? It's fucking
It's
rehashing
not
everything.
Yeah.
Shit.
Anybody else? Sorry, what do you think about
So yeah,
that
it's just
chest?
Rob Liefeld just trolling people in it.
Absolutely. I mean, Chris Bell in the chat is saying there he's the master troll, and he absolutely is. His Instagram account is just phenomenal sometimes with the.
I wouldn't pay money for it though. So
I don't know. I just
you
think
would pay it though. You would.
I know. Any Chris the comic vet.
About Moon Knight, the hardcore Marvel fans that are reading right now, most of them would say Moon Knight, Jed McKay's Moon Knight is the best storytelling that's happening out of Marvel right now. Personally, I feel it's Miles, but to each their own. The Jed McKay run, at least whether you don't think it's the best or not, seems to have this level of respect that's going around with most of the Marvel fans that are picking up books on New Comic Book Day. I get that it's just one of the personas that's dying, but let's be honest, this is not a real death by any stretch. This is not Ms. Marvel dying and then coming back. This is it's a guy with multiple personalities. But yeah, it's just another Marvel trolling people. It's just now just a relaunch for a new volume. It's going to throw a bunch of sexy covers out there. But yeah, that Liefeld thing, it's just so beautifully terrible. And it's and Chris Bell and GP said this. It's just he's trolling the hell out of everyone. If you want to go spend your money on it, God bless you. But I still think the original to Steve Rogers is hands down the worst art that I've seen. And I get it wasn't necessarily published as a cover or whatever, but it was still an ad. So it's just so beautifully terrible. But if he wants it, the only thing that would have been better, like if you open up that book and the next image is him from the waist down with the feet, that would be the ultimate troll of all time.
Superb. That original Cap drawing I absolutely love, because there's people on the internet done kind of 3D images of it. So you get the image of Cap, and then you have him like his skeleton and what it would actually look like. It's just amazing.
You just have the fold down so you can see the feet.
Yeah, like a swimsuit special of Cap. That'll be interesting. James T.
I don't really have an opinion on this. I mean, like obviously, they kill a character, they bring them back immediately. I'm pretty sure when the last time when you mentioned Moon Knight, some element of Moon Knight was dying. I was like, it'd be a week. I give it until they announce. The Rob Liefeld one it's just fun. It's an iconic, for the wrong reasons, piece of imagery, and it's cool to see a little kind of a homage to that. So yeah, I'm all for it.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's an interesting one. Rob, gonna come to you next on this bit of superb news, which I'm very excited about.
Yeah.
So tell a little bit about Comics Cure and Cancer and your amazing news that you're gonna have an exclusive cover. I'll drop the
Yes.
image down so you can talk. Then we'll bring it back up when you're.
Oh, I
when
can
you
talk from here with the image up. It's all good.
Oh, oops, sorry, I put it back on.
Yeah,
we
there you
go.
are. So, because people don't need to see me, they know what I look like. So, Comics Curing Cancer, of course, for anybody who doesn't know, hasn't heard us talk about it, obviously, this is my channel focuses on it year round, but it's a big virtual event, part of the American Cancer Society effort to raise funds to combat cancer and cancer research, as well as taking care of helping patients, families, and stuff that are fighting cancer and everything else. So last year we raised $22,000. We're going again this year, hoping to surpass that. We got a goal of 25,000. So there's two different elements here that are up on this card. One is we're still looking for donations. Triple G is going to be a part of this year with us, helping us out.
Rob, sorry to interrupt you, mate. Remind us after the show. I did an art show with a UK 2000 AD artist, and he said that he would send a couple of his hardback books of his artwork.
Awesome.
So I'll get that sorted.
Yep. So we're still looking for donations of items that we're going to use during our auctions and our giveaways stuff to bring in more money throughout the event. But one of the things that was on the super big announcement we made this week, thanks and huge 100% efforts on the part of DJ Links. Shout out to him. Who's helping me with myself along with Legion of Comics. The three of us are the three-headed monster here, taking care of Comics Curing Cancer for the most part. DJ Links completely secured us a exclusive variant for Unnatural Order #1 coming out from Vault Comics. Cover art for this donated by Matt Wilson, and production costs of the books covered fully by the Comic Mint. And so we're going to get the books at no cost. They're going to be $20 a piece for the variant cover, and there'll be about 250 of them. 250 is the print run, so we'll see minus whatever gets damaged, and then those will go out plus shipping costs plus tax. They'll be available to ship internationally too. It sounded like when I was talking to DJ. So that's going to be great, big news. All those proceeds are going to go to Comics Curing Cancer. And this is going to be, Unnatural Order is being billed as the biggest independent release for a book in quite some time. Part of that is because Vault Comics is making the A cover available to comic book stores at no cost. So comic book stores can either give them away, they can sell them at cover price and make more money, whatever. But and it's got some talented writers. The co-creator of X-23 is behind this, and it's a supernatural sci-fi type story. It just sounds really, really interesting. I can't wait to get it. And thank you so much for letting us showcase this book to everybody.
I mean, I've said to you before, Rob, I'm a cancer nurse by background, so I'm 100% behind this. It's phenomenal work, and the money you guys are raising is tremendous. I am exceptionally excited about this book. So I read the synopsis for this one a while ago. I love my horror comics and stuff like that anyway.
Yeah.
So I was bang on with this. So I will definitely be picking up a few. If we're shipping to the UK, because I know sometimes that's a challenge, if there's any of our local guys who want to get them shipped in one bulk, I don't know who it's coming from, Rob, but if you want to send it to me and I'll distribute in the UK, that's by no means.
We're going to announce at Comics Curing Cancer website or Instagram when the books become available and where you go to buy them. And it's like any other commerce store. People will be able to fill out their thing.
Fab.
You can either consolidate it or they can fill out their individual, and it based on where it's shipping to, it figures out what the shipping cost is. And
brilliant. Spot on, mate. So excellent. Looking forward to that. Amazing work, as I've said. I'm just going to jump back to Roscoe's comments on the right Liefeld because it's just got us tickled pink. Imagine it just keeps falling out. It's just more legs, no feet.
Whatever.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Terry, drop us a line, mate, if you want one of those books, and we'll sort it out as soon as they're out. Because I will definitely be picking up as many copies as I can to give away on this channel as well, Rob. So what I'll probably do is I'll buy a load and then give them away on here.
And the Cancer Curing Comics or Comics Curing Cancer logo is printed on the back of the book too. So it's great.
Superb stuff. Okay, guys, next bit of news. I'm going to jump to Highland G, who sent this over. This is the original Tomb Raider trilogy getting remastered collection. So that's quite interesting. So Highland, tell a little bit about that.
Yeah, so like this is something my girlfriend actually pointed out to me. Now I actually played Tomb Raider first of all on the PC years ago, long before I had my first console. And I think the first console it went on to was the PlayStation, and it had a big kind of fan base there as well. But we're talking like the original, like polygon style, kind of like sharp edges, kind of Tomb Raider, where you had the tigers, the twin pistols, all the backflips, not the bow and arrow kind of stuff. There was, no checkpoints. You had to save, and you had to aim. There was no lock on to ropes or anything like that. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it kind of getting redone. But I was kind of skeptical at first. I was like, oh, but if they redo this, like some of these things where they just like up the graphics a bit, but the controls are a bit rubbish, like how's that going to work? Apparently the studio that they've got in touch to do it are going to upscale the original graphics and remaster them so you can toggle between the two. And they're going to do the same with the controls. So they're going to give you full analog stick controls, but also let you go back to the kind of D-pad style if you want that. So I'm just really looking forward to it. Classic Tomb Raider.
I mean, I'm showing my age, but I remember, like you, I remember playing that. You're much younger than me, I should say, but I remember playing that original Tomb Raider game on the PC.
I was probably too young when I was first playing it. My dad was the one who actually bought it.
Yeah. GP, where you want to jump in there?
Yeah, I'm just wondering if the cheat still works on them.
The cheat,
of course. If you know.
Oh, I feel this is something I've missed out on.
It's on the Nintendo system this time, GP. So I don't think that's gonna fly. Yeah. I mean, like Tomb Raider. I some of my youngest memories playing that original game. Very early days for 3D platformers, so you need to adjust the controls on that. So, like, it would be incredibly frustrating if they didn't tweak that. So I'm happy to hear that they are. But graphically, I think it looks pretty cool. I like they've kept that kind of aesthetic to it. Like it doesn't look like a modern game, but it's like it's pretty to look at. So
it'll be fun to go back to the dual pistols and stuff again because we haven't had a game that's done that in a while.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it'll be fun. Okay, guys, last bit of news for this week. We talked a little while ago on this show about ghosts and goblins and whether we were believed, and then we talked about aliens and UFOs. And this week we've had irrefutable proof. So I don't know if you guys have seen this in the Mexican. Sorry,
I don't know if that word means what you think it means.
in the UK, we use it maybe a little bit more loosely, I think, Rob. So this has been presented as absolute proof of some alien. I mean, it's fucking paper mache by the look of it, but
it's like something I printed.
Yeah, that's a 3D printed. Highland G said this in with eggs in its belly and everything, and I just thought this is friggin' bonkers. The interesting thing is, this has hit kind of international news. Everybody kind of, hey, look at this, and all the rest of it. And then when you read through the articles, the guy that's presented this as evidence of aliens has been debunked numerous times for the same kind of stuff. So it's just bollocks, really. Now, Chris, we talked a while ago about UFOs and aliens and things like that. So I know most of the guys on screen's views. Are you a believer, Chris? Not necessarily in that shit, but are you a believer in general of UFOs?
There once was a time I would say we were alone in the universe, but the more mature I become, that just goes to show the ego of mankind. That for those that think that way, that we are it, that we're alone in the universe. It's just incredibly egotistical. But my God, that looked like an early prototype for E.T., like something that Spielberg would have done in the mid '80s. That's just terrible. Like, come on. Like, come on, man.
Yeah. The phrase we like to use, Chris, is a fuzzy Dunlopism, which is that it's pure mince. Pure mince. Yeah, which means utter shit. So, yeah. Anybody else want to come in on this one?
Just remind me of a GP. You go first because that mine's paper.
Yeah, so I was just going to say this is playing off the hype of this whole Mexico Roswell thing. Apparently, a few years ago, they had a spaceship crash somewhere down in Mexico, and there was a big government conspiracy to cover it up, and they took a body away. There was 3 girls who interacted with an alien and everything. And so, anyway, a few weeks back, there was a guy on Joe Rogan who's done a documentary about it. Yeah. So the hype for that's getting built up because there's this documentary coming out, and it's just people playing on the hype.
Yeah. So it's just crap, is what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, basically, yeah, it's just crap.
James, were you going to come in there, mate?
Yeah, no, we had this big story in Ireland here over the last couple of days. This hole showed up in on like a beach, like it's a perfect.
Oh, I saw that.
perfectly
I saw
circular
that.
one,
Yeah.
right? And it's like, you know, a meter or so deep, and there was like a black rock in the middle of it. And this expert comes out onto RT News saying it's a cosmic event. And it's like, we're gonna investigate. And it turned out it was just two lads dug a hole and threw a black rock in there. Like it was on TikTok. Like I had seen the black hole, this hole showed up thing first, and then my mate showed me, watch this video. It's two lads digging. I go, I wonder, is this gonna be? And then it was very funny.
So
Yeah.
the problem that I have with this is that the conspiracy isn't, oh, is there aliens? The conspiracy is really, if this is filling the mainstream news, what is it that they don't want you to be paying attention to?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
absolutely.
find this happens an awful lot nowadays, where something's so ridiculous that should be debunked right away. You know, it's filled with the news, and it just makes you wonder what they're actually trying to keep your eyes away from.
Yeah. Keep the news kind of cycle entertained for a little bit, isn't it?
Yeah.
Peter, I
Rob.
can wrap this up for you just because I know your audience loves it when I say it. This is utter shite.
Absolutely, Rob. And as ever, Rob, eloquent. Do you know what I mean? I love the shite. It's delightful. Okay, chaps. So next, that's when news done. We're going to talk briefly about what we've been reading. I've covered a lot of this on my show on Friday night. I guess what I would recommend, and I've recommended it before, but I will talk about it again, is I've been pulling to bits the Amazing Spider-Man run for the last probably 6 months or so. Haven't been particularly enjoying it. Last two issues, this issue in particular, was absolutely friggin' amazing. It was a retelling, well, kind of a new version of Kraven's Last Hunt with Spider-Man in the Kraven role. It was dark and gritty. I mean, he punches, it's not Vermin's teeth out at one point, and yeah, very cool. Has anybody managed to catch up with it yet? Oh, there we are. Have you read it yet, Chris?
Yeah, I went through it I actually went through it twice, Pete, to be honest with you. The first time, because I feel that Kraven's Last Hunt, it's so special to me that I feel personally it's the most important story that's been told for Spider-Man. Obviously, Gwen's death is probably the most important one that's happened to him. But for me, my generation, Kraven's Last Hunt is like top of the mountain.
Top tier, isn't it?
So as soon as I saw this, I was like, oh, great. So now we're going to have Zeb Wells give us his take on Kraven's Last Hunt. That's been played out so many times. Even Nick, I hate saying his name, Spencer, he even tried to do a little bit of a take on it as well, and it belly flopped.
Yeah.
The first time I went through it, I was like, oh, I don't know how to feel about this. And when I went through the second time, I really enjoyed it. And I didn't want to enjoy it.
Yeah.
That's how protective I am of that part of my life when it comes to this particular story. But this was a really good memory of Kraven's Last Hunt, and that's how I dissected it. I thought it was just really well done. The artwork was good all the way through, and ASM has not necessarily had the best artwork as well. Let's be honest, this particular volume. But yeah, for me, it was, a solid 5 out of 5. And it's been a long time since I could say that about an ASM book versus a Miles book.
Absolutely. So I'm completely with you. I was really negative about some of the Doc Ock issues recently, thinking they were just blah, but this was spot on. Like I said, I did a show the other night about recent comics. Phil is desperately trying to get us to say project. How do you pronounce that? Is it
Cryptid?
Has anybody read that?
Cryptid? No.
So I picked it up because it's got all over the cover, story by Grant Morrison. Grant Morrison's story is like a 3 or 4 page text story at the back. It's not a comic story. It's friggin' mental. The first story is pretty good. It's about a guy going up Everest and encountering an abominable snowman. Second story is about like a giant worm that goes and fights crime. It was odd. Anyway, what have you guys been reading? Anybody been reading anything they want to talk about?
Yeah.
No.
Well, I've been going through Injustice.
Oh, yeah.
And I've got to the point where I'm now in the where the game takes place. It's Injustice Ground Zero. and it's all from Harley Quinn's perspective about the events of the game. So they don't actually do the game narrative per se, but you get all of that. Injustice has been amazing.
Superb.
And then
Superb.
last night, I say last night, before I went to bed, I read Batman Gargoyles of Gotham. And
the cover on that is phenomenal. Fuzzy Dunlop was showing us some of the covers.
It's great. I mean, it's really good. And the artwork took me a little while to really like. I wouldn't want all my Batman like this, but I'm fine with this looking like this. If you see what I mean, it's the beginning of the book is just so brilliantly plotted out. With I won't spoil anything because it's very new, obviously. But Batman keeps the shadows a lot for the first 3 or 4 pages, and he just it's really, really well done. And there's a new villain, and I think everybody should check this out. I'm pretty sure everyone is checking this out, so that's good. But it's top-notch Batman for me.
It's definitely on my list.
It's detective stuff. You see what I mean? It's like Batman going back to being a detective. Top.
Yeah, it's definitely on my list. It looked amazing. It looked really, really good. Fuzzy's just confirming there it's tremendous. He loved it. Yeah. I haven't picked it up yet, but I will definitely be picking that one up. Anything else anyone wants to mention from what they've been reading before we move on to what you've been buying? No?
I would just say quickly, I've been reading a few just kind of smaller trades and things recently. I've only got one here to kind of show, but one I would mention kind of before this was I was reading Jeff John's Junkyard Joe. The first issue is very different than the rest of the story because it's kind of setting everything up. And I actually enjoyed the first issue, I think, more than the rest of the story, even though the rest was still kind of pretty good. But I really enjoyed, there's a lot of sort of homages to Winter Soldier and other kind of things within there, but it was still its own story and just a fun kind of somewhat heartbreaking at times kind of story of this sort of robotic soldier, which I really enjoyed. And another one, which I thought you might like, Pete, is called Sons of Ashgard, Ill Met in Elmgard, if I'm saying that correctly. And it's basically this somewhat sort of Norse sort of mythology based story, but it's these somewhat sort of squirrel type looking characters. Right. So it's sort of animated, sort of cartoon style. But it's a adult story about this sort of red-haired squirrel who was pushed to the kind of brink and ended up killing someone in his local town. Rather than being killed, he gets ostracized and he has to join a sort of defending team he doesn't agree to it. He's kind of forced into it because it's the only way to let him in another sort of town. And it's how he kind of builds his friendships and kind of moves on from there. But it's got this whole sort of, as I said, sort of Norse, sort of Thor type mythology going on in the background, just in the way they talk and things. It's quite fun.
Who's the publisher on that one?
It's by Dark Horse, and it was just a trade that came out in the last couple of months.
Okay, I'll check that one out. That sounds right up my street, kind of stuff I like. Okay, guys, well, we'll have a look at what people have been picking up recently. I'm sure some of you have got some bits and bobs to show off. If you haven't, no hassle, but if you have, great. We'll start off. I'll show you some of the things I've been buying of late. I'll just make myself large. That's James. So most of you probably know I'm a massive Masters of the Universe He-Man fan. And I saw this on eBay and I had to pick it up. And this is the Masters of the Universe Fields of Eternia board game. So it's a kind of a Dungeons and Dragons map-based thing. You get a whole host of miniatures that you can paint as much as you want. So it just looks amazing. So I've had a bit of a read of it. It looks fantastic. It was a Kickstarter originally, so it comes with all kinds of stretch goals. So I got the main game. I got the stretch goals box, which has got, again, a whole host of characters, including King Grayskull, Fisto, all kinds of stuff in that. We've got the add-ons, Spells of Separation, which has got the Evil Horde and Hordak and all his lot. I don't know when I'm going to have time to build all this shit. We've got Orko as an addition. We've got Snake Men, which is pretty cool. And then the last one, which I really like, is Castle Grayskull, which you build up, and it acts as a dice shaker. So you chuck the dice in the top, and it rolls your dice for you.
Yeah, I've
So-
seen the
Play it,
pictures.
Pete.
Sorry, mate.
Sorry. I was just going to say, are you going to play it?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Me and my son play a lot
Yeah.
of these kind of games.
Tremendous.
So yeah,
I really would like a review video of that. That'd be tremendous to find out.
yeah, absolutely will. And
Do a
I'll-
live
like I
game,
said,
maybe. That'd be cool.
Yeah,
Oh,
do
Invite-
that.
yeah,
invite
live
us.
game.
Invite us all round, Pete.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
So I've got this to play, and I've also bought. I haven't got it to show you because Thomas is reading the instructions. But last week on This Is My, we had our good friend Rob on, and he showed me what's the name of it, Rob? Is it Goggle or something? The card game.
Sorry, Munchkin.
Munchkin, that was it. I was very near with Boggle, but I got Munchkin Marvel Universe. So me and Thomas are going to play that tomorrow as well. So yes, picked up some nice bits and bobs there. Like I said, I love a board game. That's something we do as a family. So looking forward to that. Okay, James, what have you got, bud?
Well, I was at Northern Ireland Comic Con at the weekend, so there wasn't really much in terms of the traders that I was that interested in, but I picked up a few like autographs and stuff, so I'll just show a few of them off. I got John Marston from Red Dead Redemption, Rob Whiteoff,
Oh, very
a
cool.
little quote and
Yeah.
everything. I got Sadie and Micah from the game as well, so I met those actors. They were really nice.
Excellent.
Some quotes and stuff. I met Elijah Wood, so I have a picture with him.
Very nice.
And
Very
then
nice.
Michael Rooker as well. So that was good.
Superb.
Michael Rooker was like the highlight of the show. He was amazing.
I hear loads of great things about Rooker and Benson.
Incredible. Like his panel was the best panel I've ever seen. Like it was absolutely incredible. Like the energy in it. And then just kind of because we're at Liverpool next month and I'm meeting a couple actors there. I
Yeah.
saw some really nice prints, so I picked up of a Dean from Supernatural one, so I got Jensen Ackles to sign that.
Very cool.
And then I have I'm not set on this one because I feel like I should get something a bit bigger because I want to get all the cast, but I have a Last of Us one as well. So I might
But that's a classic one, James, isn't it? You've got to get that one signed.
yeah. I mostly picked up because it was like 10 quid for the picture and the frame, like a good quality frame. So I almost got it just for the frame, but I might get that, but just a bigger version of it. So I can get all the cast to sign it, you know. So pretty a good haul, I thought.
Very cool. Very cool. Anybody else got stuff they want to show off? JP, what you got, bud?
Yeah, I just picked up a couple of things over the last couple of weeks since last time we've been on. Picked up Volume 2 of Zdarsky's Daredevil.
Oh, nice.
So
Very nice.
keep on going with that. Next one's by our Lord and Saviour, Rodney Barnes. Black
Yeah,
Mirror.
I picked that up as well, bud. I got
So,
that last week. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was going to have this on the reading bit, but I thought, no, I've picked it up. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I've read
Yeah.
it and it's absolutely fantastic.
I've not read it yet, but I'm looking
Oh,
forward
it's
to get our
brilliant,
friend
mate.
references. It's good. So
Yeah.
yeah.
You'll really enjoy it. And then another one you'll like as well is Barbaric, Volume 2,
Oh, it's tremendous.
which I read. Oh, mate, brilliant.
Yeah.
Volume 3 is out in December. So the only thing is there wasn't any hardback versions of this one.
All right.
Because Volume 1 was hardback. So it's a bit of a shame, really. But yeah, absolutely brilliant.
I'll definitely pick that up. I love Barbaric. It's superb.
Yeah, that's it.
Good stuff. Thank you, JP. Luke, have you got anything, mate?
I do have just one thing. So basically, everything's connected in this universe, right? So, they spoke about aliens on TV, and I happened to get a little ET.
That's not a toy, Luke. That's an actual, real, live carcass of an alien.
But this
In
is
Mexico.
so. The thing is that this is a NECA toy. So I picked it up at like a little boot sale type thing.
Yeah.
But they've only recently re-released this figure, so they've
Yeah.
done like a new wave of them, as it were. And I held off. I was like, I don't need one of those. Plus, I know that they made them back in the day anyway. But when I saw it there, I was like, oh, I do have to buy him now. Now it's right there, and it was cheap. I only paid £10 for him, which for a NECA figure
That's
is
good.
nothing.
Mega.
But now that I have him in hand, I kind of want to buy that Alf, so I can have both,
the Alf.
both of those
The Alf's
classic
So
very
what I'm
aliens
hearing,
together.
is you haven't collected everything that you want to collect.
I was waiting for Rob to come in on that.
He just can't accept that I'm happy. Just happy accidents. Like, I didn't go out of my way to go and get this. It doesn't count.
Yeah,
It
it's very
doesn't
cool.
count.
It is very cool. I like that one, Luke. I like that one.
Impulsive.
Now, Von Hoot, I'm going to keep you till the end because I think you might have something sexy to show off. Highland G, have you got anything you want to show, bud?
Nah, I've not got anything specific to show.
No problem at all, mate. Chris, have you got anything?
I do,
Sorry, I didn't prep
do.
you. Oh, good
I
stuff.
do. I gotta.
Yeah.
I gotta. That's awesome. I hope you get the Gordon Shumley, man. Like, there's a lot of L fans over on this side of the ocean. I got an AOK a little while ago, so I just wanted to thank DVH in person for hooking me up. I am a big Jenny Frison fan, and I've been loving World Tree so far. And DVH was kind enough to send me this Frison foil variant. If you notice the blood stain that's on her face, they light up with foil there. And so DVH, thank you so much. I'm sure it cost a couple of quid to have it sent over to Canada, but
That's
my
no
man,
problem,
I
mate.
appreciate you so much. There was no way I was going to get this, as I'm not sure the company that's in the UK that had this, but this is a UK exclusive from what I'm understanding.
I think I got it from Sad Lemon.
I was going to say, was it Sad Lemon? They tend to do a lot, don't they?
Yeah.
But yeah, I have a very extensive Jenny Frison collection, and this is now near the top as my favorites. Her Wonder Woman stuff is incredible, but this was gorgeous as well. It's all kinds of sexiness and evilness. If you've been reading World Tree, you'll know that this character is not friendly.
No,
she might be sexy, but she is not friendly at all. But yeah, DVH, thank you so much.
No problem,
for
mate.
sending this over, my man. I appreciate you. This is incredibly kind.
I'll let you into a little secret.
Sure.
It was your idea.
No.
you said the words when you heard about it.
Okay.
DVH, hook a brother up. Like, that was your exact sentence.
I say a lot of nonsense, man.
Done, I'm doing it.
Is that how easy it is? I'll have to remember that.
Wow.
I need a new car. DVH, hook a brother up. Do you know what I mean?
I say a lot of nonsense, but thank you, my man. It was very kind of you.
My
Again,
pleasure.
I appreciate it, brother.
It was great.
Very nice. And
It's lovely to get free stuff, isn't it?
I have to agree with you, Chris. I'm loving World Tree. I don't know if you're up to date with it.
So good. It's
superb.
so good. Yeah.
It's superb. Rob, I dare say, have you got anything? And it'll be a whole host of bangers. Yeah?
Well, since we were last on, I did pick up a few. I just show 4 books because I picked up a few things. But of course, there was the first appearance of He-Man.
Very nice.
So I figured I'll pull that one out for you first, since you were just talking about He-Man.
There was a nice grade on that book as well. Sorry, mate, it's a nice grade on that because the yellow cover is horrendous to get in a high grade. Yeah, it's very cool.
So then, of course, there was arguably one of the most important Silver Age books that established the multiverse.
Lush.
So I picked that one up.
That's a tremendous book.
It's like all DC, actually. It was a DC couple of weeks. We picked up the first appearance of Guy Gardner.
Yeah, very good.
And then, just because you like to kick Hal Jordan while he's down, also picked up the first appearance of John Stewart.
Very nice. Very nice.
So just a couple books.
Some very nice books, Rob. Some very nice books made. Now, DVH, you had a little unboxing last night.
Oh, did I? Yes. Yeah, no, I hit the jackpot because of a madman. But we'll start from the stuff I actually paid for. As you all know, I'm a massive fan of Duo Powerbomb. Yeah. And I got this. It's tremendous. I love it.
Yeah.
It's
I don't remember seeing that cover. I don't remember seeing that.
I literally scoured the internet for variants of this, and I'm the one that added it to all the databases because nobody seemed to know about it. And I love it. That's very tremendous. Nice. And this is all thanks to the assistance of Mr. Rob Fatstaxer Comics.
Yeah.
And then we have this bad boy, which I'm trying to get it in focus.
Your focus, for some reason, is behind your head.
Yeah,
actually, it's focused like on the stickers behind you.
Yeah, probably is.
Yeah,
nearly. I don't know. Anyway, do a Powerbomb signed by Daniel Warren Johnson there.
Amazing.
Tremendous. It's great. And
I
it's
love
got
that.
real life wrestlers on the cover, which is the only variant to do that. So you've got
Yeah.
Paloma Star here, Colt Cabana, and Christopher Daniels, both of which I've met a couple of times, and they are a great laugh in real life. But I absolutely love that cover, which is an actual Daniel Warren Johnson cover as well.
Yeah.
And then after that, we have my friend Efren, who we all know and love from Past Point Comics, that sadly isn't here tonight, hooked me up with this, which is amazing.
Amazing.
From San Diego Comic Con. And focus. It just won't take it. No, never mind.
It's stunning.
But it's great. I love that book.
How many variants for issue 1 have you bought?
At least, well, I've got at least 12 copies coming.
Yes, I think I'm about the same.
So, like, I don't know. Like, I've gone a little bit over the top.
I've literally done a video to say, I'm stopping buying variants, and then I've bought, I think, about 12 or 15 variants.
And then he threw this in as well, which was really nice of him.
Very cool. Very cool.
He's a great guy. I love Efren. Everybody check out Passport Comics. But then there was this, which I don't know. I've never started shaking because I see a book before.
It was do you know what? It was a beautiful moment.
It blew my mind, and it is wonderful. This is a gift from my friend Rob, and I cannot thank him enough. But I also think he is insane.
In my defense, you did kind of say you'd like to get it someday.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Fine. All right. In which
You also say hook a brother up.
Yeah.
Hook a brother up, man. Hook a brother up.
Chris, you already used yours when you said I don't have what was it, 252?
Yeah.
ASM 252, and I sent you a 252. Yeah.
I also don't have the first T'Challa.
Yeah. I mean that's a stunning book, and we all know how much you love your owl covers. But obviously you're a Maul, so
I am a Maul.
Are you going to take a pen to that and draw an M in front of the OW?
I am not. Unsurprisingly.
Well, the owl is sort of a Maul as well.
Yes. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's the first Maul. It might be related, actually.
It's
TGH, maybe.
close. Yeah. And also, Beckerman is absolutely right. Colt Cabana does share a bank account with his mother.
All right. So incredible books, incredibly kind of Rob. That was a beautiful, and I have to say, I watched. Obviously, I didn't watch it live, but I watched it this morning or last night, and obviously, it was a very touching moment. So really,
his reaction was so brilliant. I loved it every minute. It was like everything I needed right there.
Yeah, it was great.
Well, technically, it was a complete cluster, but it was one of the most amazing things.
No, I have to say the best. Sorry, not the best bit. That's not fair. The stream was great. My favorite bit was when you disappeared and Rob was left on screen, and he just started singing or rhyming to himself.
I him at the end. I was like, what?
But it went on and on and on. And it was just
it's a stream that never ends. It goes on and on, my friends. Someone
a bit more interesting news here. You've just been talking about what Peckerman said. Fuzzy is just saying he shares a bath with his mother, and he did tell earlier he's 41. So that's interesting, Fuzzy. I mean, okay.
Yeah, I can believe that, Fuzzy. Yeah.
I'm hoping that when he said that, it means physically there's a bathtub that they share, just not simultaneously.
No, he's Scottish.
Okay. Well, never mind then.
No, it's just to make the most out of the water. It's nothing weird.
Yeah, it's nothing weird. Anyway, moving swiftly on. We're going to talk a little bit now about what we've been watching lately. So we'll kick off with this. So I know this is an oldie, but I came to the discovery today that my son hadn't watched any of the Planets of the Apes movies. So obviously I felt like I'd failed him in some way as a father.
Yeah, you did.
Absolutely, yeah. So we've literally watched this, and we're halfway through the follow-on to this tonight. I forgot how friggin' amazing this movie is. It is absolutely spot on. The acting, it's just a brilliant movie.
the character of Koba is one of my all-time favorite characters ever put to screen. It's
Great.
so good, especially in that second movie, Dawn
Yeah,
of the
definitely,
Planet
yeah.
of the
Yeah.
Apes.
Oh yeah. Well, we're halfway through that one at the moment. It's just sublime, you know.
As good
And
as
I
those
got-
are, though, as good as those are, but you're failing them again by not starting with the originals.
Do you know what, Rob? So we went on to Disney Plus to have a look at them, and it's got all the kind of the little icons of the different movies, and it's got some of the originals. And he looked at them and he said, "We're not watching that dog shit, are we?" And it was like, whoa, because the special effects don't look the best, shall we say, when you first see it.
Academy Award winning.
I disagree entirely. Those special effects still hold up today. Those latex masks are brilliant. Not all of them. Don't get me wrong. Like, yeah, it has to be the ones up close. The background ones, yeah, shocking. That set of films got me into special effects. Like, I love that stuff.
Yeah. But yeah, no, you're right, Luke. And I remember watching them back in the day, late night. You know, when they were on UK terrestrial TV and all the rest of it. But yeah, just thought I'd mention that it's a superb movie. I'm going to watch the rest of it when we finish tonight, and then watch the third one tomorrow, probably, because I think there's more coming out.
I do think you are right. They are really underrated. Like, you don't hear people talking about that trilogy, and it's pretty close to being one of the best trilogies ever made.
I think in terms of consistency, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Tremendous. Okay, guys, now it's come to that time of the night. So I did ask you guys to send in things that you've been watching. Dr. Von Hoot has sent in this. Now, Jesus Christ, before we get into that, we'll have to obviously play Dr. Von Hoot's jingle.
Neighbors. Everybody needs good neighbors. That's when good neighbors become good friends.
What the
That
hell?
was a little bit loud. Jesus.
You get a copyright strike for that.
Christ, I'm not monetized. Who cares? Von Hoot, what the hell is this? Because it just finished, man. It just ended.
It's the most important moment of the year.
Is
on Monday, Neighbours is coming back. It's the 18th. The greatest soap opera that ever happened is back and in full force. And also, the review embargo has been lifted, and the reviews are in, and everybody says it's just like Neighbours. So, yes, I'm in. Also, I mean, Guy Pearce is still in the show, which is like, well, that's your Amazon money right there, isn't it? Like, you've got Guy Pearce, you've got what's her name, Misha Barton from the OC. She's in it.
I like her. I do like her.
I mean, like, but Guy Pearce is a huge name to have in.
He is. Yeah,
returning for another. He's going to be in at least a couple of episodes, so it's going to be amazing. Can't wait to find out whether Paul still walks with a limp because he.
I mean, yeah, exciting stuff. You heard it here first, guys. That's the plot line for the first week's worth of episodes.
What we know is that there's definitely going to be a wedding, which is always big in a soap opera. Like, you've got to have a wedding. That when it comes back, I cannot wait. I've been waiting since it got cancelled.
The really disappointing thing for me is I had 25 viewers watching, and we're talking about friggin' Neighbours.
I've spent more time talking about Neighbours on this show than the entire rest of my life combined.
I'm sorry, Chris.
Yes,
it's a British thing.
Yeah, Chris, have you seen Neighbours? Chris, you've never lived if you haven't? Have you not seen it?
I don't even know what it is. He's talking about will Paul have a limp still? Like, what is going on?
Well, it's good news.
Come on,
good
man.
news, Chris. Now it's on Amazon. You too can watch Neighbours.
Is it Australian? Is it British?
It's an Australian soap opera that got very famous over here.
Rob, do you know anything
in the
about
80s?
this? Like, what?
Only what I have learned on this show, and I'm going to tell you, Chris. Just add it to the bottom of the list and keep adding stuff above it.
It's
apparently Margot
soap
Robbie got to
opera?
start
Like,
there, and
it's a
Kylie
daytime
Minogue
soap
was on
opera.
there at some point. But beyond that, It's a
It's just
DVH thing.
The
Margot
intro had like
Robbie.
people from the 70s on. I'm like, what? Like, what is this? Three's Company, or as your stomach turns? I don't know what. I don't know anything
All you
about
need
it.
to know is not to watch it. I think it's fair. I think it
No,
would be my
all you need to know is Harold is back. Like
Harold's not back.
Harold is back.
He's ancient.
Yeah, yeah. We've got Harold again. It's going to be amazing. Okay, so Margot Robbie, Kylie Minogue, Jason Donovan. I don't know whether he penetrated, but
Hold on,
steady.
BBH. A quick question then.
Yeah.
Kylie Minogue, was this her start in anything? Like, was
Yes,
this?
it was.
So
Yeah.
I did know of Neighbors then. So I guess it was around in the 80s before.
Yes.
So okay, all right. So
It
that's
was-
tremendous.
So I've heard of it only because of this was a launching point for Kylie Minogue.
Yeah.
Some tremendous power ballads came out of this, Chris,
Yeah.
between Kylie
Peter,
and
this show runs long as it is. I'm surprised you're appreciating.
This is one of the most important topics we're going to cover, James. Neighbours is coming back on the 18th.
Fuzzy is saying that this show once had potential. I think that's the cue to move on from the neighbours talk. Absolutely, mate. Okay, so I just wanted to mention this. I'm not going to go into detail about this because we're going to be doing a show on Comic Lad Simon's channel about this. This is One Piece. This is based on the anime, which usually would be a good reason for me to avoid at all cost. But I watched this out of pure interest. And I absolutely friggin' loved this. This was great fun. It was silly. It was the special effects were good. Yeah, so did I, mate. I watched it over about 2 nights.
We
The-
all owe
the
Simon
action's
an
great.
apology.
Well, I did. I apologized publicly on Instagram. Anybody else been watching this?
I saw the first episode thanks to you seeming to like it. And I have to say, I was blown away. I thought it was so much fun. Like it's the perfect balance of fun and action. Like a lot of these adaptations of anime, because I do like anime. I'm not a staunch against it type, but the adaptations haven't really worked. But this one really felt anime-ish and
absolutely
really well observed and fun. It's all fun.
And it gets better, mate. If you've only watched the first episode, for me, it gets better. It surprises at how dark it was at times in terms
There's
of
a lot
some
of
of the
heartfelt
action
stuff in it as well.
Yeah. Chris, have you been watching this one?
I have not, but I did want to mention this. So Fan Expo, which is Toronto's largest Comic-Con. It's a monster. It's up there just right behind San Diego, right behind New York City Comic-Con and C2E2. This show was everywhere. There was signage everywhere. They're handing out leaflets. Is it Netflix? Is it a Netflix show?
Netflix.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Netflix was there plugging the hell out of it. And there was so many young people that were around, like talking about this show. So it is on my radar. I just wanted to talk about that. Just a couple of weeks ago in Toronto, like their presence was heavy, and this was the most plugged type of show or movie that was going on at Fan Expo. Was this particular show, and I can remember them handing out like little cards and stuff that would take you to a special trailer at that point, that because it was not released in Canada yet. And so I just wanted to point that out. It is on my radar. But if you're saying, Pete, that it's really good, and you guys as well, I may check it out. I'm not sure if it's my normal flavor, but like I said, there's so many people that were really interested in this show. Like, it really spread.
Exactly the same as you, mate. It wouldn't be my usual go to watch. You know, that kind of live action anime doesn't normally float my boat. But I just thought this was fun. I think what I would do if I was you, Chris, if you sat at home and you've got a spare night and it's a choice between this or Neighbours, definitely this, right? No question, right? Anybody else been watching it? No. Okay, so you need to watch. Some of you need to watch it before we do Simon's show because I'm not going on by myself. So, James, I rely on you, bud. Okay, next, I think GP, you're up first, and then Dr. Von Hoot. Did you send us the wrestlers, GP?
I sent one of the wrestlers. Yeah, so I had a day off work yesterday, and like any self-respecting 40-year-old, laid on my couch and put Netflix on.
Yeah.
I put wrestlers on and looked interesting. And yeah, it's really good. It's about a company that used to be big. A lot of stars went through it back in the day. It was OVW, I believe.
Ohio Valley Wrestling.
Yeah, Jesus. Yeah, it's run by Al Snow. If you watched wrestling back in the late 90s, you'll have heard of Al Snow. And yeah, it just take you through the ups and downs of what goes on behind the scenes in a wrestling company. Cool. And yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I actually binged it. I watched it all in one day.
Very cool. Very cool. So wrestlers, check that one out if that's your bag.
Definitely.
And then Dr. Von Hoot, the SmackDown. Bit of Rock action there.
Yeah, so last night The Rock returned to SmackDown after like years of not appearing on TV.
The Rock returned.
Finally. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
And yeah, it was pretty special. Finally. I mean, it always is when he turns up out of nowhere. And the reason I brought this up is the motivation for it is that the actors' strike means that he's free to wrestle, basically. And so John Cena and The Rock are both back now in WWE and could potentially, have pretty big matches. But at the same time, it makes you think, like, is that okay? Is it okay that they're doing this when, like, they're supposed to be not doing anything because, they're striking? I mean, that is the gist of it.
I mean, if anyone should be striking, it's wrestlers.
Don't get me started on that. Like, that's
you're right, James.
That's a complete kettle of fish.
The question to be determined on this is The Rock back to do anything, or was he a one-time thing? Because the WWE just completed its sale transaction, giving a boost. Because that's the same thing. McAfee there and this stuff. I mean, it was almost kind of like it was more of a special one-off. Is like a feeling I kind of got.
Yeah, I agree with you, but he has the ability now to do stuff. So I'm not suggesting that that's definitely going to happen, but like the rumor mill is going rampant right now.
Well, it does that anyways.
But I mean, it always is.
The fact that you had him there and you didn't even have any interaction between him and Paul Heyman or anything to talk about the bloodline at all. They completely avoided that. Really kind of makes me think it's a one-off.
Right. Yeah.
But man, I mean, you already knew that John Cena had already was not the same shape he's been in, obviously, for a while. But when you put him next to The Rock together, it's like, wow, I think you need to get back to the gym there, John. Not only is your hair gone, but so is your bulk.
Very cool.
The sale that I wanted to talk about, this happened a couple of days ago. WWE and UFC have merged into one company called TKO now. It's owned by the parent company Endeavor, who previously owned UFC. They're a big company, obviously. They can afford this, but they've started firing people. So they've let go 100-ish employees as of yesterday because of this merger. And then you've got guys like The Rock turning up on TV. Like, I understand when there's a merger, there is going to be layoffs, but it's not going to stop here. This is the first 100 people to be let go from a company just because it's more profitable for the company. Like, there's
overlap.
Business.
I mean, you look when you have two businesses. A lot of the people that were being let go initially are backstage workers, right? You have people that, as businesses merge operations, that there's overlap and redundancy that happens. As from a talent standpoint, there will be some talent let go, but The Rock's not taking anybody's spot. He was under contract already. It's not like he took somebody's spot. And let's be honest. If anything, he's going to put some more dollars in their coffers that
Is he
allows
worth it?
them to take
Absolutely,
a flyer
yeah.
on somebody else a little bit longer.
I'm loving how passionate you are, guys, but nah, wrestling,
Yeah, no,
Howie.
yeah.
It's just
We might as well be
fun.
talking about neighbors. I know.
Yeah. I mean, Phil's saying here that you've got a wrestling group chat. Dear
Yes, we
God,
do,
I bet,
yeah,
that's,
'cause-
bet that's a laugh a minute. Is that...
I mean, if you understand wrestling, it is. I mean,
yeah, it's just never been something I've getting into, and I don't know why,
you
because I should like
superheroes. They are superheroes. It's
pantomime, and it's
exactly the
dames.
same.
It's dames dancing in a ring. Anyway, moving on, guys. Anybody watched this? Groot season 2. Anybody caught any of these yet?
I just watched the last one because I heard what it was about, and I thought it was fantastic. So I have to go back and watch the others.
Yeah. Anybody else seen them? So these are dead easy to watch. They're just little, I think it's about 3 minutes or something like that. Little,
Longest one is 4 or something. So
yeah, little snippets, just great fun, little stories. If you're into, just a quick watch, it is worth watching. I quite enjoyed them. Dr. Von Hoot, you mentioned this, mate. This is something that one of your friends has done, I think, isn't it?
Yes, this came out a week or so ago. FPS, first-person shooter. It is a feature-length documentary, and when I say feature-length, I mean it's 4.5 hours long. I mean, it's huge, and it's tremendous. I loved it, and I watched it in one sitting. I don't know that everybody should watch it in one sitting because it's that big, but it's broken up into segments. So, but basically, it takes you through the entire history of FPS games. Like, particularly, I found interesting is the beginning of where, because I had no idea about a lot of the stuff they were talking about, and I was sort of around for it, but still, like the ins and outs of it, it's a phenomenal documentary, which I'm really happy that he's done so well with it because it's.
So
it's
where's
amazing.
that available, mate?
It's available at the moment at fps.com. I think you can only buy it digitally there right now. It's also, you can also buy a physical version there as well. But I highly recommend it because it's the stuff about Rare and how they made GoldenEye, for instance, was really interesting stuff. Like the whole thing, and Doom. Doom gets a massive portion because of how important Doom is to the FPS. And it's a really, really well, very detailed documentary, which if you like that kind of thing, go for it.
Yeah, not a lot of people know things like Unreal and Quake were actually built for the engine so that people could build other games on them. The FPS was just a show house to show off the engine.
Yeah. Good stuff. Thank you very much, guys. Interesting. Okay, so I did a show with Rob last week where we interviewed and he talked an awful lot, as I've mentioned, about this movie. So I did promise him on the show that I would go and watch it. So I've sat today and watched it for the very first time with my wife and my son. And I cannot believe I've missed this. I don't know. I don't understand how I've not been aware of this movie. The music, the art, the storyline. Absolutely friggin' loved it. It was tremendous. I mean, I'm assuming. I know Luke loves it. I know James loves it.
Well, I was just about to say, I'm like you. I only watched it for the first time. They were showing it in my cinema last year, and I went to see it, and loved it. That was brilliant.
They're going to release it again this year for the 30th anniversary.
Oh, great!
So,
I'll go see it again in the cinema. I had a blast.
Last year, I actually went to see it live with an orchestra with Danny Elfman, and it was absolutely superb. It was so good.
And do you know what? And again, it's one of these things that I don't know why it was in my head. Well, I probably do know why it was in my head, but I just assumed Johnny Depp and Helen Bonham Carter played the main characters in it, and they absolutely don't.
They're not even in the film.
You're not even, but it was such a joy.
From Home Alone.
Well, yeah, but it's such a joy because I think the guy who plays
Chris Sarandon.
Yeah, so my joy with him is not Prince Humperdinck. It is, I love that movie, but it's one of my favorite horror movies of all time. He plays the vampire in Fright Night, the original Fright Night, which is just one of the best movies ever. James, we'll have to get that on your list for the movie reviews or whatever, because it is one of my favorites of all time. Ephron's just saying he's never seen it either. Ephron, you need to check it out, mate. It was
super
just
underrated. There's a dance scene in that film which is never talked about, but it is remarkable. The acting in it is just like,
yeah. I just loved it. I loved it. So
I
thank you
think
so much for
it's from
recommending
that
it.
sort of era where like all the voices and sort of caricature done is creating the character. It's not the actor. And I love how that actually like, builds the drama and feel of the actual thing. There's too many animated things nowadays that the actor's voice is the thing, and it's ruined because you're too busy thinking, oh, it's The Rock, rather than actually getting into the character.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Do you understand my love for Oogie Boogie now?
I do. Yes,
Such
I
a
do.
great character.
Yeah.
So great.
It's quite dark as well, mind at times,
Yes.
isn't it? It is. It's yeah.
I told
surprised
you.
me with that.
If you read when I told you about the original book, the poem that it's
Yeah.
based on, and I said I read it to my
Yeah.
kids. I said, that was probably not the smartest idea I ever did. This initially, they were young.
So it's not exactly the same, but me and my daughter today, like obviously she watches Nightmare Before Christmas every year. That's something that we share together. It's lovely. But today she asked me to watch another film in a similar vein. So today we watched Coraline, and she absolutely loved that as well.
Coraline's phenomenal. Oh, that brilliant. Yeah, absolutely. Neil Gaiman book is fantastic as well.
Yeah. I like that. I like these kind of dark kind of tellings of tales. Yeah, good stuff.
Fairy tales. Kids should be scared. I think
another classic from Luke. Yeah, kids should be scared.
That's
Quite
why
rightly.
That's why they were invented. That's why those stories exist.
Yeah, the original. Who were they again? The two brothers.
Don't eat your vegetables. The monster will eat you.
Yeah, Brothers Grimm. Yeah. Okay, guys, moving on. And Chris, I'm going to come to you first with this one. I want to know what you thought about this. So this was Aquaman 2. The trailer just come out. There's all the controversy about, some of the casting and whatnot, but we've had our first full trailer now. What did you think, Chris?
I thought it was fun. I'm not going to sit here and say that this is going to be great, because I don't think it will be. I think they jumped the shark with it. But
I like that. Well done.
I like the fact they had him in the suit, and the seahorse was a nice nod to Super Friends back in the early late 70s, early 80s, if you watch the cartoon.
Yeah.
But to me, this is something that should go straight to streaming. DC has not done well at the box office. They just deliver bomb after bomb after bomb, even though some of them have been well received by the fans and some critics. But even Black Adam was technically considered a bomb. And that might be the last one where it came. I get that right now Blue Beetle is being well received or whatever, and that it's turned a profit. But on the grand scale of things, they haven't done well in a very long time. I don't know why it's being released. Period. It should just straight go to me. It should go straight to streaming, and let's just get on with the James Gunn universe. The DCU that's coming. Even though I thought they had a home run in Henry Cavill as Superman.
Absolutely.
To me, he's a terrific Superman. They want to move on from him. God bless him. I was not happy about it. I'm still not happy about it. But Aquaman 2, back to it. It looked fun, but I'm just like, it's just gonna be. Let's be honest, it's gonna bomb. They sat there a few months ago and said The Flash is going to be the greatest superhero movie ever made. They literally said that, and it was terrible. Au fromage. It was so bad. Yeah. And here we are again, a few months later, talking about something just because the first time it went around, it made $1 billion. Heads up, it's going to bomb too.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely bang on, Chris. And I think, the stuff with The Flash confused the hell out of me, because you had big name directors saying, I've seen it, it's amazing. And it's like, really? I wonder if they got a nice paycheck on that, because it was bizarre. Anybody else? What did anybody else think of you like The Flash, don't you, James? Did you say?
I really liked it, yeah.
Yeah. What did you think of Aquaman, mate?
Felt nothing. It's a very strangely cut together trailer. Also, it's jumping around a lot, and I think it's pretty much shown the entire movie. I don't care really. Like, I'll go see it. But I felt nothing, no excitement. I barely remember what happened in the thing, aside from at one point Patrick Wilson is skinny and has long hair. That's kind of it. Black Manta looked cool, and I suppose the trident, the green trident thing was interesting, but who cares?
Yeah, I think it was very CGI. I mean, it should be. It's Aquaman, but it was very wobbly CGI for me.
Some shots, but
good.
Yeah, but with the water, I think you can get away with it a little bit more than the Flash running up a building.
See, I thought it looked more fun than I was expecting because I've heard so much bad things about how bad it is, how Jason Momoa wants to distance himself from it, so certain actors that are in it. Watching the trailer, I was expecting nothing, and the fact that we saw him mostly in the full actual green and orange outfit, as opposed to the blue outfit, which I was scared from the image it was going to be most of the movie. It was actually a small sequence. Most of the storylines seem to fit together quite well in the sense that you're getting sort of Ocean Master back by his side. They're building the team back up. They're going to kind of fight as the Seven Seas to kind of take something on. The downside to me actually was the very end part when it was all about a black trident. I was like, who gives a fuck about a black trident? Like that has nothing to do with anything. And I don't care about Manta for a second movie. Can we have a different villain?
Yeah.
Like so for me, those were the things that kind of held it down. But I love the Aquaman movie. It is my favorite of the current DC ones, and I will go and see it probably because I quite like the trailer.
It's funny because I out of a lot of the original DCs, Aquaman was a total surprise to me. I really enjoyed that. Going to come to Rob in a second. Fuzzy's just saying here that he's going to watch Aquaman in the bath for added ambience, and Chris is going to watch it in the bath too. Your mum will love it. Jesus, Rob, what were you going to say, mate?
I was to say, he said, "Can we have somebody else other than Black Manta? Who else is there? I mean, it's Aquaman. I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, I know nothing of him other than he swims in there, and at some point in the 90s, he lost his hand and put a harpoon on.
Well, I mean, he's taken on pretty much anybody. He's as strong as Superman, but underwater. So when you take him out of water, he's actually stronger because he's not got the resistance of water against him. So technically, he could take on anybody Superman can. Like, give him a villain.
I wanted Black Manta.
Who are the villains from Aquaman, though? I mean, the lore.
It's his main enemy, like. Let him be the main bad guy.
Interesting.
The main arcs were really his sort of getting overthrown by the internal people within
internal politics,
Atlantis,
things, isn't it?
Yeah, rather than kind of like Thor. There's a lot of internal stuff.
I don't know.
Peter, before you run off on this, I have one question though. Why is it with these aquatic heroes that just don't ring with us these days? Because Aquaman. There are people there's a handful of people who really love Aquaman and Namor. But for the most part, when you talk about those heroes, they're kind of like afterthoughts to most of us, I think. And it's like, what is it that we just don't really care about? What these?
I mean, I think in terms of Namor, he should have been a phenomenal part of the MCU, but I think they dropped the ball with him and quite a lot in that movie. He was decent, but he wasn't the Namor I was expecting to see. But yeah, I think your point's a good one, Rob. And I think even in terms of comic sales, Aquaman, Namor, that they have one title. They're not like the bigger heroes, and they should be because they've been around for years and years. Luke,
I think it comes down to relatability. I think when it's the characters, you can have any character living on land, and even if it's Superman, we still have Clark Kent. We still have something that we can relate to. When it comes to this underwater kingdom and these rulers, it's just not relatable to the fans and especially to young kids, because that's what really matters.
So he's popular amongst the Gungans and the Michael Phelps of the world.
Well, it is a very, very limited sort of Arthian, get your kind of throne type story within these kind of things.
Yeah.
It's an interesting one.
My thing about the whole trailer was like the reason that movie made $1 billion, the first one, is because people think that Aquaman is a badass based on the fact they got Jason Momoa being Jason Momoa as Aquaman, not because Aquaman's a badass. And then in this trailer, they completely undid all of that. Like at the beginning of the trailer, it's gag about him washing his, like putting his suit on a washing line. He's Aquaman. It's going to get wet in a second. It's ridiculous. It's a terrible joke. But it's not just that. I don't love everything about the Snyderverse, but what I will say is Aquaman's sort of coolness was like the only good thing in the original cut of the Justice League. Like, it's that kind of like
cool.
him being a badass is really important to that franchise, and they completely undercut it to the point where it annoyed me. Like, I was quite. You're selling this film completely wrong. Even if it turns out to be a good movie, people are not going to go and see this film because what you're saying is what we're getting is like another Thor rubbish sort of crap comedy wrapped up with, you know, like
yeah, I mean, seeing his
Black
suit
Panther's
hung up
cool.
very much felt like a fat Thor moment. Like,
Yeah,
they
I mean,
did.
it's
Yeah.
just
They
bad.
turned the
it's
biker type
bad
of character
comedy.
into to a joke.
Yeah.
He turned into a joke. The Flash movie, the last scene we saw was him
Oh, that
face
last
down in a
scene.
puddle. You know, in Peacemaker, you know, they accused him of having sex with fish and stuff. They turned the badass, you know, biker type of character that
I mean, they had that with
was
Justice League as well. They
cool.
didn't make Jack Aquaman
Right?
very
They
good in any of it.
They bitch slapped the character. They've taken away anything that was, you know, I'm not going to say relatable, but something that was cool
He's
about
certainly
it.
not cool anymore after that trailer. Like, there's no cool thing about that guy anymore.
Moving on, chaps. I think that one's an interesting one, and I think that film was always going to be up against it, wasn't it? Because I don't think anybody, or not many people, were excited about it coming out. I don't think after all the recent DC shenanigans.
James Wan's like one of my favorite easily top 10 favorite directors. So I'd love to see this do well, but you know,
I mean, it's definitely a niche character. Even the people I know that did like the first Aquaman film, it's few and far between compared to people that go and see Batman or something else. You know,
absolutely. I wanted to quickly touch on this one, guys, because I don't really know what the hell I thought of this. Goosebumps, the TV series that's coming out. I'm a fan of the first couple of movies. I watched this trailer and it was just, I don't know, it did very little for us. Anybody else think this was great?
So I saw the trailer. I'm a big fan of Goosebumps books, always have been from the Scholastic Book Fair at school. Absolutely loved them. I remember watching the original TV series that we had back in the day as well, back when we were kids, and really enjoyed that. Whether or not it holds up, I'm unaware. I have seen the movies. I have seen the movies with Jack Black.
It doesn't.
My concern with this trailer was I didn't know what I was watching. Like
exactly.
I get that it's meant to be individual episodes, but nothing fit together in this trailer. That if they were just going to focus on one episode to get you to want to watch, like, and focus the trailer around one episode, that would.
I don't think it's an anthology. I think it's a straight through like story.
It was just all over the place. Like, one minute they were making references to certain books like Say Cheese and Die and stuff like that. Like, all these things that should tick those boxes. They hit the nostalgia, but it was just all over the place. It was a mess.
It started off with promise because like I like Justin Long quite a lot, particularly
Justin
Barbarian really brought him back for me as well. But like it had a bit of intrigue and a bit of spookiness and stuff, and just as it went on, the like kind of was a Kendrick Lamar or something song. Oh God, you know. So yeah, like I don't think it's an anthology. It should be. You know, I would rather this be a revival of that original show, because like I even think of like the theme song for that and like get goosebumps. No pun intended. Watching that, and like I mean I love Goosebumps, so I'd like to see it kind of be more like it was back then.
Goosebumps TV series, Fuzzy. It did nothing for us. Anybody else before we move on want to mention anything on this one?
Yeah, I watched it. I thought it was just overuse of CGI teenage crap. So,
Chris, what did you think?
So I got to preface it all by saying Goosebumps became popular just after I started high school, so it was kind of like the year or two kids that are right behind me, so I didn't get to read it, but I understand how important it is to pulp culture and that it really is beloved, especially the books. And I'm fully aware of the TV series and stuff like that. But what I watched it because Pete, you mentioned to check it out, so I checked it out, and I just kind of thought like, okay, now I know a lot about it, but I thought, okay, is this supposed to be individual episodes or just one big event? And each season is going to be its own event kind of thing. But I don't know if it was trying to copy Stranger Things, but this didn't seem to have that same flavor of what it did back in the 80s, 90s, from what I watched from afar. I just thought it was I thought it was a poorly edited trailer, to be honest with you. Like, it didn't know what it was supposed to be doing. So
Absolutely.
I like, I'm sure the show will the show do well. But I just kind of thought, like, okay, we're making a Stranger Things for teens, but we don't know what we're doing with what we have right now. I thought the soundtrack was cool, but it didn't really fit the narrative that they were trying to push across. And I'm glad to see Justin Long is working, because I really enjoyed him from the horror stuff that he did, and a little bit of the Kevin Smith stuff afterwards. But it just seemed lost even before it started.
Yeah, I'm absolutely with you. I mean, I have to be honest. I watched it, and I'm not as big a fan of the franchise, I guess, as a whole. But I was waiting for something familiar. I was waiting to see a character or something I recognized, or some kind of spooky. And it was just, it did very little for me. Something that has done a lot for me, and there are spoilers ahead, and I just wanted to briefly touch on Ahsoka. So this is now on episode 5, episode 6 coming out soon. I know most of on screen have probably watched it, and some might not. We're going to talk a few spoilers. I've stuck this up there because it's a damn crime. Fuzzies is named the Purgles Skywalkers. And no, that's not been picked up yet, which I think is a crime. But yeah, they're superb. I'm interested in everybody's thoughts on it. This last episode in particular had some stunning imagery. Some of the stuff that I'd never thought I'd see on screen before. You all know, and most of you know, I'm not a diehard Star Wars fan, so I ain't seen Clone Wars and things like that. But this just blew me away. This last issue in particular absolutely blew me away. And I'd probably go on record and saying, unless it absolutely drops the ball, this is probably my favorite Star Wars TV series we've had so far. I'm thoroughly enjoying it. So I'll come to Rob, because you're in the center first. What are your thoughts so far on Ahsoka?
I'm thoroughly enjoying it. I think that Disney has decided in this case, you know what, the hell with you, whether you know all the backstory stuff or not. We're building something for the fans that are deeply invested. Those of you that aren't as deeply invested, you can come for the ride. You're probably going to enjoy it, but you're just not going to get everything out of it. And that's just fine. Talk to your friend, read an article from somebody who's there's enough stuff nowadays with people breaking stuff down and explaining things after the fact. You can kind of get caught up and kind of go, oh, okay, that makes sense type thing. But as somebody who's more deeply into this stuff, I'm absolutely loving it. All the little bits and pieces. I think that they did a phenomenal job in this. In more for me was the stuff with really filling in this notion of Anakin's failure and how he had fallen in, and the whole idea of this master apprentice that's gone throughout from Obi-Wan and down from Obi-Wan as the apprentice to the master to down the line, that these flaws that get passed down, but also, and whether or not how some of these characters become shadows of their own masters, but also the notion of how the Jedi changed so strongly during this time, from being Obi-Wan being brought up in an era where they were keepers of the peace, to Anakin teaching Ahsoka, basically telling her that I trained you to be a warrior, and that's been haunting her and all this type of stuff. And it really just laid so much subtle groundwork and so many different layers that you can kind of build on all these things for these different characters. That is absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, I'm with you, Rob. I think it's some of the imagery that we had in the last episode in particular just blew my mind. And I mean, this scene where you got the flex of Vader switching between Vader and Anakin was just so well done. And
this goes, what Pad Bear is saying here about this, what this trying to teach. So it's important to understand that in part of this is it's about Ahsoka and her coming to grips with what she is and what she's become, and how she's haunted by the fact that of Anakin's fall. That she feels there's elements of it where she feels because she left, and that was a big catalyst, and it is, a huge catalyst in Anakin's eventual fall to the dark side and going to becoming but she feels that, you know, if she hadn't left and she'd been around, that maybe she could have stopped him from becoming what he became. And so that switch back and forth is these different elements of him in there and how it's haunting in her own mind as this is all going on.
Beautifully done. It was beautifully done. James, what did you think?
The newest episode was just pure filth. I needed a shower after and I felt dirty. It was literally everything I'd asked for from this show. Just from like from the kind of Easter egg or kind of perspective of it. Like Anakin with the hair and the armor, a Clone Wars flashback. We got Rex, just like incredible. But then it was also like the context of it in the story was great. And I feel like it's really elevated everything it's touching. Like the Clone Wars, that doesn't feel like there's that kind of disconnect, because I think Hayden Christensen has incorporated elements of the Clone Wars version of the character to it. So now I don't think they feel like two separate characters, like I think some people would say that they do. The choreography of the fights was fantastic, and we've not had really amazing lightsaber choreography for a while, but the way he's still got the moves, it very much felt like Anakin from episode 3 back again. And yeah, I mean, it just like start to finish, it was everything I'd wanted from this show, kind of condensed into one episode. So yeah, I think the show in general started off a little bit shaky. Some of the dialogue wasn't great, which is always a Star Wars thing. But then like I wasn't a fan of certain storylines, but like this one was just absolutely blown away. Loved it. So yeah. Roll on next episode.
Who else has seen it? Who else wants to chip in? Chris?
Just to touch on what James said, I think this was the best lightsaber choreography we've had since Rey and Kylo took on the Knights of Ren a couple films ago. That was incredible to watch, and this was magnificent as well. And it just goes to show how serious Hayden Christensen has taken his return to Star Wars. And the one thing I want to mention is I'm glad that Anakin's trilogy is beginning to age well. I know when they were first dropped, there was a lot of hate, especially towards Hayden Christensen's performance. But over time, over the last 20 years, it seems to have aged well. And I'm glad to see that he's, as a fellow Canadian, that there's now some respect there. But this episode, to me, proves if you would have given him a primetime director, look what he could have done, because he was magnificent, I thought, personally, for this particular episode.
Yeah.
My God, the fact that you can tell both him and Rosario Dawson spent hours working on this. The only thing I thought that was missing is if he would have started with the lightsaber behind his head the way that he normally does that pose. I felt that was the only thing that was missing. But I love the fact that they played Anakin up where they flipped between lightsaber colors. They even touched on the color of color of his eyes when it was dark side Anakin before Vader, the Order 66 scenario, and that somehow the communication worked so much so that he was backing off of that. So I get the world between worlds scenario played out, and it wasn't necessarily a Force ghost like a lot of people were speculating. But I thought this was pound for pound the best episode of any Star Wars TV show that's come out. Now, personally, I still think the second Mandalorian season was the best one so far, and that's up for debate or whatever. But this one was terrific, and it was a fantastic homage to the Clone Wars. And just to touch on what Rob said, he was spot on. It seems that Filoni has just taken the whole idea of if you haven't paid attention, I don't care, and thrown it out the window. And it's walking hand in hand with the Clone Wars. If you haven't paid attention, well, it's your loss, because you need to go back and visit it, and if you really want to understand what's happening.
And that's really interesting, Chris, because I am a Star Wars viewer, but I haven't watched the cartoon. I haven't watched the Clone Wars and stuff.
Right.
And before I got into this, I took James, and I think it might have been Rob's advice, and I went back and I watched a kind of this is what you need to know before Ahsoka. And my enjoyment of this series is perhaps because I don't know all of that backstory up till now. So I've liked learning and finding these characters. The last episode really, really made us think, shit, I've missed something. I need to go back and watch this, because if it's this good and this emotional, I'm missing out. So that was probably the first point I felt like that, I think.
What's really great is there's a deep cut that ties into episodes from Clone Wars with the on the planet Mortis and the Eternal Father and the daughter and the son, right? That essentially you take the analogies there that together during the Clone Wars they are like the Gray, they're like the Bendu and all this other stuff here, but Anakin goes to the dark side. He's the brother, and Ahsoka is the sister, is the daughter, the son and the daughter. She represents the light. Hence, when she comes out of this, she's now being referred to as Ahsoka the White and stuff. And also she represents that light side of restoration back to purity and everything else, along with her sabers and all the other stuff. That all goes that way. Whereas Anakin is very much that represents the dark side now. And so there's the separation of this. It ties way back into that episode of Clone Wars. It's an episode that it's worth watching again, kind of see some of that stuff.
I'll go back and try and catch up on some of that. I think GP, you're a big Star Wars fan. Are you up to speed with Anakin? See, that's how good it is with Ahsoka. Yeah.
I know what's going on, and I'm actually taking a break from like superhero and Star Wars stuff at the minute. It's just getting like too much content going on. I need a break from it.
Yeah,
you get it all the time on YouTube, and I'm still watching the Clone Wars as well. So I've got all that to go on with.
Good stuff. Anybody else want to jump in onto this before we move on?
Yeah, I'll be controversial. Why not?
No, that's a shocker.
Get him off screen, Peter, before he says something you can't take back.
So I'm one of the people.
I've collected everything I want.
Oh, for God's sake.
Go on, Luke. Go on.
Spit it out, Luke.
Spit it out. Wrong with the fandom. So I am one of those people who did go back and check out all of the, well, not all of it, but the majority of the Clone Wars stuff. And I'm not knocking this show at all because I think it has really good parts to it. But what I will say, just to add a little bit of controversy, is that I don't think this version that we're getting in live action of Ahsoka is the better one. I much prefer what we had before. Like, okay. I feel like the animated one, there was so much more to it. And I don't know if it's because of the actress. And I've looked into it and I hear that she got the role because like someone done some fan art or something about her.
Fan cast and did a poster.
And I get all that. But when I went up, because I did go back and watch those before watching this, and I let the episodes play out before I jumped on. So I've kind of like binged it. But because I did go back and watch that other stuff, that's my Ahsoka. And so now I'm having a hard time connecting with this one. Everything else is great. I think the villains are great. I think all the live action fight sequences are great. But there's something missing from her. And I can't quite put my finger on it. And I don't know if it's going to change. Or maybe I am now just stuck in my ways.
I'll take a photo, Luke, because I agree with you. I agree with you. I think like she's, up to this point,
I think she's the weakest part of the show, and it's her show, which seems like that's a shame.
And that's interesting, isn't it? In that I don't have that connection to her previous iterations, so I'm loving her. I'm really enjoying her because I don't have that link. Maybe
I don't know anything about the Clone Wars and any of the animated series. I haven't watched any of it, and I have loved this series, and I did like that episode, but I do, and this may be the first time I'm ever going to say this, agree with Luke. It's like I love Rosario Dawson. I really want to put that out first, but she seems like the weakest link in the chain, in that she's very, very stoic all the time, and
it doesn't feel like the same character.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know. I have no idea. Because I don't know that character, it doesn't make any difference to me specifically. But there's something. There is a bit of a disconnect for me in her performance.
Ahsoka in the cartoon is very emotional, and that's something that they've kind of removed from her. But I feel like at the end of this episode, she's coming back a little bit. So I'm hoping going forward now we're getting a bit more of that classic Ahsoka kind of charm.
Rob's getting ready to tell us all why we're wrong.
No. Well, so you're right in that her character portrayal is different. There's reasoning for it, right? So the character during their time in the Clone Wars and she's learning and everything else. She's snippy. That's how she gets her name Snips, that she's always with a quick comment and all this other type of stuff. And she's emotional and she's learning from Anakin, essentially, right? And she sees how that fails. And then as she later on, from her departure time on, you start to see, even in the tail end of the Clone Wars, during the Siege of Mandalore, some of the stuff, her attitude and how she is starts to slowly evolve into the point through Rebels. And now she's more like the Jedi we've known in the past, right? Some of these Jedi who are stoic, they're very conserved and try to take her place from this, but she's still not 100% there yet because she's still conflicted internally and battling her own stuff. This episode is supposed to be our catalyst that's supposed to free up some of that stuff. But I mean, and while she may still be a little bit more, she may be a little bit more fun, I would expect her to be more stoic continued on, because she at this point is no longer a teenager. She's a full-fledged adult at this point, and she's in a very different place from everything that's been going on.
Correct
So it's
me
a
if I'm wrong,
maturity
Rob.
thing.
Do you not detest what they've done with Boba Fett in Star Wars?
Absolutely.
So could someone not use that kind of same logic to argue that that's the character evolving and in a different place?
So I don't have a problem with some of the stuff they've tried to do with Boba Fett. I have the way that it was portrayed, and more of the problem with the show and its storytelling. I should say I don't have a problem with Boba Fett as he getting older, trying something different,
right?
Type of mentality. I don't have that problem necessarily as I get older.
And I think for me that's a good example to use, James, because I think for me, in terms of just a casual viewer watching Star Wars, this is night and day compared to Boba Fett in terms of my personal enjoyment of the series. You know,
Oh yeah, 100%. It's
the other
way above that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The other difference when it comes to Boba Fett is Boba Fett's mostly been portrayed in our own minds of who we built him out to be.
Or in
whereas in this case, this was a very long. There's hundreds of episodes of this is how she is as she's gotten, and they aged her throughout the show too. But
Fuzzy's got a question. Do we know roughly how old she is in this show?
She's mid-40s, probably. She's like 14.
She's a teenager in the Clone Wars, and this is what, about 20 years after
20 plus 30 years later.
She's at least mid-30s at the youngest.
Well,
mid-30s to 40s.
No, I think she's mid-40s, like 45.
Yeah.
Sorry, Chris, what'd you say, mate?
Luke is in his mid-20s at this point.
Yeah.
Yes. Right?
Yeah.
Well, not during like 69 or something.
Not during. I'm sorry. You say Luke is in his 20s after the battle, where we're at the story at Ahsoka's point, or when A New Hope?
After, this part for Ahsoka, is he not supposed to be in his mid-20s?
No. This is after Return of the Jedi. This is we've just seen him with Grogu. He's right. He's probably in his 40s.
You think that far along?
40s. It's not been that long because Mando started. It was 7 years.
30s then.
Yeah, so 24, 30. Yeah, he'd be like 30, 31, 32. Like
Scotty.
Okay, chat.
Ahsoka takes place 10 to 15 years after Rebels, which is 30 years and 30 years. Hold on, 30 years after the Battle of Yavin.
Yeah, I'm
be 30 years after the battle.
No, Fuzzy. Let's move on, chaps. Let's just say they're both getting on a bit. All right. So I think what we're saying is that in general, this is a very positive series. I think most of us on screen are saying we're really enjoying it. Yep. I asked the question on good old Instagram. Got lots of people chipping in. My pal Big Dave, who popped in tonight, who was an absolute Star Wars. And he said nerd, Star Wars fan. He's got issues with the series in terms of he doesn't like how it's changing the law and things like that. I've told him it's just because he's a bit of a geek. But I think in general he is enjoying it. Comic lad Simon, you know mine, I loved Rebels. Always knew this was going to be mega. Jack's saying it's phenomenal. Comics only, great so far. Wish the episodes were longer. Yeah. Comic deal 10 out of 10, even better than the modern classic Boba Fett. Yeah. Kev, our pal Kev, the last 2 episodes have been the best. The show feels like a setup for the crossover movie. Yeah, I think that's fair. I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes. Fuzzy sent us a bit of a rundown. Basically, it started off a bit iffy for him, and I think that's probably reflective of what you were saying, James.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's got some amazing moments in. He says he's really enjoying it there. He makes a point about Chopper. Now, I've loved Chopper up till now, but then in the last episode, he did like an uh-oh, and it just felt a bit out of place.
I don't even remember that happening, Peter.
Yeah,
you mentioned that before, and I'm like, that didn't stick
yeah.
out to me as being weird.
Yeah, it was a bit strange at the time, I guess. But yeah, so Fuzzy's enjoying it as well. So that's all positive. Okay, chaps, I've kept you far too long tonight. It's 2 hours, 9 minutes. So thank you so much for all of your time. We're going to start wrapping it up, guys. So we'll just quickly run around. What have we got coming up on everybody's channels? Dr. Von Hoot, what's happening?
I'll have a video up on Monday, basically. I'll have another one on Friday, maybe. We'll see.
Good stuff, mate. GP?
Yeah, we got live on Tuesday. I'm messing up with technology already, so it's going well. I don't know if you want to go a little bit earlier because you have to be off at 9, Pete. So
yeah, I can do it.
Might go to 7:30. Yeah,
if it's raining, I can. If not, I won't be.
Yeah, we'll sort that out. We'll look at it.
We're going to be reviewing Crossover Volume 1. So
yeah, I've not read that, so I'm looking forward to getting into that. That's going to be fun. James, how about yourself?
I've no edited videos in the works at the moment, but I am working on a new live show. I've got some stuff that myself and yourself, Peter, are doing, so that'll be some potentially spooky related. So we'll have more on that soon. Anyway,
good stuff. Looking forward to that. Rob, we'll have a mail drop Monday, have we?
Yeah, Monday mail call. More slabs. Big shock and surprise. I add more crazy stuff to the collection. Thursday, I'll have a mystery box from Old Man Collectibles. And then on Saturday, we're back with For Only Slabs as we welcome Joe from Anachronic Comics to the show.
Oh, fantastic. That'll be good. Looking forward to that one. Hayden J, anything from yourself?
So if I remember correctly, I should have a closer look come out tomorrow about 2 o'clock. And I think it's Megalex by Jadorski.
Oh, I've not read that. That'll be interesting. Good stuff. Luke, how about yourself?
Yeah, so as mentioned at the beginning of the show, I'd done an interview with Kevin Eastman that went out yesterday. So if anyone wants to go check that out, please do. And then on Monday, I've got a video scheduled where I talk about why I'm excited for the upcoming DCU. So I'm going to delve into the things that I'm going to be looking forward to, because I think people spend too much time just poo-pooing everything. I think we need to give it some love.
Mm-hmm. Good stuff. Interesting. Chris, how about yourself?
I'm one of those, but that poo-poo everything. But okay.
Me too.
They had Cavill. Anyways.
Yeah.
Myself and Mark from Legion of Comics, we're both second-generation comic book readers. We have a little show every Sunday called Two Cool Guys, Two Hot Picks, where each of us give one hot pick for this upcoming new comic book day, and we let you know why you may want to consider putting it on your pull list. Every Wednesday, I have a live new comic book day hangout called Show Us What You Got, where it's an open invitation to anyone to come on the show to show up whatever books they picked up most recently, including those that they picked up that day for a new comic book day. But Pete, thanks you so much for the invitation here.
You know what? You've been an absolute pleasure. So you're welcome back anytime, mate. Really enjoyed it. Just want to quickly mention this. We have the Comic Book Community Awards. I know Rob, myself, and Dr. Von Hoot have been nominated. Chris, have you been nominated?
Chris,
yeah.
4 times, baby. 4 times.
I knew I'd seen your name, so apologies.
Twice as co-host of the greatest show on everybody's people were Only Slabs.
2 and 2.
So, yeah.
2 solo and 2 as partners with Rob for Only Slabs.
Very cool. Very cool. So please do, guys, go and check out the awards. Make sure you vote for your favorite YouTubers and basically everybody that's on screen. It would be much appreciated. So thank you for that. Tomorrow night, we've thrown in a quick show that we weren't planning on doing, but we're going to do it anyway. So James wants to talk about Liverpool Comic Con. Sorry, not Liverpool Comic Con. The Comic Con he's just done
Northern Ireland Comic Con.
Northern Ireland. So we decided we're going to do a bit of a rundown on Comic Cons of the past, ones we've been to, what we've enjoyed, what we haven't enjoyed. And we're also going to do a little bit of Ask Us Anything. So people can send in questions. I'll put something on Instagram and we'll literally talk about whatever people want to talk about. So that's going to go live at 7 o'clock tomorrow. Looking forward to doing that one. Monday, we're going to do a quick run through of all of the superhero related movies that have been out so far this year. Just give a quick briefing on what we think of them, what we think went well, what didn't go so well, and talk about what's coming up. So what's got excited for the end of the year from the Marvel DC movie slate. And that's your whack. So thank you very much to everybody that has been watching tonight. We had 20 odd people at one point, which is great for my little channel. So really do appreciate you all stopping by. Massive thank you to everybody that's been on the panel.
Pete.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Who said Pete?
Do you think you do enough live shows?
Just one or two,
wondering.
mate.
Yeah.
Just one or two. Yeah. Just keeps us out of trouble. Do you know what I mean? What else would I be doing?
All
Yeah.
those live shows, and yet still he doesn't get monetized because of borrowed content somehow.
Exactly. Bastards, honestly. Anyway, never mind. So thank you very much, chaps. And with that, we'll call it a night and we'll catch you all next time. Bye now.